Seconds.
Welcome to Comic Book Spectrum, a Rising Tide Broadcast Network production. Get ready to explore the world of comics, past, present, and future, with our panelists Eric Hawkins, Brian Rodman, and Clyde Hall. And now here's your host, Brian K. Morris.
And good evening, everyone. How the heck are you? Welcome to Comic Book Spectrum for Thursday, September 23rd, 2021. We hope you've had a good week so far. We're here to make sure you continue doing so. And I am here, of course, with my three cohorts, the Fab Four we are being called. Good for us. It's an old type of laundry detergent. I think that's the only reference. But anyway, I am joined by my friends Clyde Hall, Eric Hawkins, Brian Rodman. Let me unmute these wonderful people so you can hear their dulcet tones. How are you guys tonight?
Fantastic. How are you?
Fine. That's why we like Clyde, you know.
Silent and gorgeous. Look at him.
Bringing the necessary sex appeal to this show, you know.
Indeed.
So,
if it was closed caption, it would be darn shucks. Golly.
Gee willikers.
Yeah. Jeepers, I could kill me a plumber now. But anyway, anyway, we are all, Clyde inspired us. We are all wearing our finest hattery tonight. So I'm wearing
with the autumn. I just felt very Halloweeny. I do got my long Halloween, long Halloween T-shirt, and I have my skeleton trophy here. So
beautiful.
Thank you.
Damn, we've gone all Project Runway on the audience tonight. I'm telling you, this is great. So,
and your fantastic hat, sir. Look at you and your steampunk fezness.
I know. Thank you very much, Brian. Yeah, but it's something Cookie made, and you see that she's been adorning it, and she's been busy. And it is truly. I'd say it's a work of art, but actually it's a work of Cookie. She likes getting the credit for it. So anyway, but no, I'm very pleased with it. This is my steampunk fez, and we are probably going to be doing more wonderful hats as time goes on. You see, right now is the best time to get hats because Spirit Halloween and Halloween City are open.
Yep.
So, we stock up on hats now, so we'll have some to, during the cold winter months, so we don't have to go out barefoot in the snow uphill both ways. So,
and Hats in the Belfry, or Hats in the Belfry is a good website to go to find hats.
Yes, because they have hats.
Some are expensive.
Hats that will fit my head.
Yes. Yeah. When you have a big noggin, you need big hats.
Yep.
Yes, that's right. To hold all the darned brains we have.
Or something.
Yeah, that's right. In my case, it's all the hot air that escapes out of my scalp.
Large space for rent.
Yeah, there we go. I just put a sign in front. This space for rent. There we go. So anyway, we want to welcome everyone who's in our audience tonight, and we want to thank some people real fast, if I may, because I've got the controls. Wait till the partner or the roll thing comes up with StreamYard. You just wait; these guys will take over. Anyway, we're grateful to the Rising Tide Broadcast Network for being a part of our group here, and vice versa. And also in October, we're going to welcome the Dastardly Dingoes. October 6th, I believe it is.
Yep, October 5th.
And if you keep waiting, folks, it may be the 4th. You don't know. We're really eager to get this thing going. But anyway, please check us out. 7 days a week of entertainment and education. Tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, it will be Joe Dog McKeel and the crew giving you Stupid O'Clock. one of the best talk shows on the air, followed hopefully by Dan Hollifield's Last Man Standing at 11. And then tomorrow we've got a full day of broadcasting, starting with Nevermind the Furthermore at 10 a.m., going on through a new episode of Drinking with the Davies. Yay! And then the Historical Fencing Guild at 8 p.m. We'll have more on it tomorrow. But anyway, please check out our broadcast network. Check out the Rising Tide Broadcast Network page on Facebook and give it a like if you would, please. Also, we like our Patreon subscribers who help keep us on the air and growing. These wonderful folks also have their own Patreon pages, so please check them out as well. But if you want to see your name on this card and know the joys of being my patron, because you get stuff, go to www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. And anyway, get me off the screen here, Brian. Okay, thank you. Anyway, so we have our usual fall draw. We have reviews. We'll be talking about stuff, which we haven't talked about what we're going to talk about tonight, did we?
I don't think we did.
No, we didn't. I think we did. I have an idea though for a subject.
I was going to say, if we don't, Ryan Permisson usually has an idea or two.
True.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
yeah.
And we will be reading comments. In fact, we should probably say hello to our people. Teresa Dunn, good evening, guys, from a fellow comic lover. Mwah, good to hear that. Good to hear that. And we have Ted Davies Artistry. Please check out his Tuesday show, Ted Talks, because he's got some really cool announcements coming up. And good evening, Fat Four, and all the ships at sea. And, of course, our number one guy here is Joe D. McPhee from the Desktop Small Press Publisher, also on the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Check him out Saturday nights at 10 p.m., 9 p.m. Central. And they're saying hello to each other. Yay, because everyone's a friend here. And bets on how long of a wait it'll be. 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. We were almost on time tonight, so enough of that. And Sarah, mwah, good evening to you. Sarah is exploring the world of comics via her comic shop. And so, and she likes the steampunk fizz, which is all I need. And Ryan Permisson, hello, everyone. What's up, CBS crew? Wearing his new CBS shirt tonight. You're welcome for the free advertising. I expect the check in the mail.
Oh. Under this cardigan sweater is just pure manliness. Look at those faces.
Let's just check this out,
right
and see. Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh, look at that gorgeous Erica's Hawkins art.
Chest hair like that.
That's what I was thinking. I was a tattoo within all that chest hair.
It's just, yeah. I'm secretly a animal from the wilderness. I'm actually Sasquatch. Hey guys, I'm actually not blurry.
Do you like the
also he's
stuff?
marking his territory in the corner, which is Luna's starting to get pissed off about that. But anyway, it's wet here. What happened? Anyway, and Sarah says, "Yay for Halloween, the time of year to get home decor." Yes. So, and let's see, and of course, excellent. Yeah. And let's see, here we go. Ryan Permisson, starts us out with a thing here. Favorite Sherlock Holmes comic and why? Well, that was easy.
I don't believe I have ever read a Sherlock Holmes comic. No.
I haven't read a Sherlock Holmes comic. No.
I have. DC put out a one-shot back in the 70s and Clyde's nodding. He remembers that one. Yeah, I think it was E.R. Cruz did the art on it, I think. Walt Simonson did the cover. And I want to say Denny O'Neil did the story.
Oh, wow.
I could be wrong. Yeah, and I think it was Hound of the Baskervilles, which is one of my least favorite Holmes stories.
It is very overdone.
It is. I mean, it's very visual because you've got the glowing dog and everything. But as far as a really solid Holmes story, the problem is Holmes not in half of it.
Nope.
It was mostly following Watson around. But it was pretty well done. And then Marvel did a 2-part in Marvel premiere for their black and white comics. Again, Hound of the Baskervilles.
Yeah.
But who was it? I think it was Caliber Comics back in the 80s. Dan Day, whose brother Gene drew Master of Kung Fu after Paul Gulacy left. Those were pretty good. And I know that... what's his name? Roger Broughton from Canada reprinted some of the newspaper strip Sherlock Holmes, which were drawn by Frank Giacoia, and a few ghosted by Jack Kirby. So, but
one of the things, and I can't remember, it's a fragment. There was some kind of I thought maybe it was a black and white. It was a one-shot thing in like a anthology series or anthology magazine of creepy things, and it was a Holmes and Watson, and they were on the trail of a vampire. So it's not based on any kind of a real original story, but it dealt with those characters, or at least analogs. But I think it was actually the characters. And at the end, they were talking about how they cracked the case, and they're sitting there in the study, and you see, Holmes light his pipe and everything, and they both smiled at each other, and they both have nice long canine fangs. They've been turned. And for whatever reason, that story sticks with me as that's one of the few comic book versions, though, that I can really recall.
Yeah, that's interesting that you brought that up, because the book that I'm reviewing tonight, one of the stories from this book is a very, very similar story to that, Clyde. So maybe they ripped it off. I don't know.
But like maybe Alfredo Alcala did the art on that, and that was one of the reasons the art really stuck with me. It was really nicely rendered. So I think that was the artist, but I can't tell you what issue or anything. It's just one of those stories that you go, oh, well, it's a mystery and a whodunit with a vampire. Well, that's kind of, oh my gosh, he's turning the
Yeah, that's a good point, guys. Well, of course, I know that up till recently, the Arthur Conan Doyle estate was asking for quite a bit of money. I'm surprised we haven't seen a flurry of Holmes books here in America, because what was about 5-6 years ago, the courts decided that like all but about half a dozen of the Holmes stories at the time were in public domain.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's that way in England. Any other country that subscribes to the Berne Convention, because that's based on, well, no, then it should be that all of them were in public domain, because that's based on the death of some like 80 or 90 years past the death of the creator. So copyright law is hard. You think math is hard? My God, try studying copyright and trademark law. Good luck.
No, thank you. I
was
jump off a cliff.
I should have just hired a lawyer. It'd be easier. And Brian Rodman, look forward to meeting you in a few weeks on And I Quote with Ryan Permison.
Yes, the day after we launch, actually, for Memoirs of an Angel, issue 8. So yay. I'm very excited about that. Yeah,
that's right. Eric looking studly there. That's right. Indeed. And Sarah says, I had no adult supervision at Midgard Comic Shop yesterday. I'm thinking the owner's pupils look like dollar signs when I show up.
Probably.
Sarah is making up for lost time as far as comics go, but she's getting some good ones. She sends me pictures of what she is getting. So anyway, Ryan Permison, nice hats, guys. I don't know what BKM is wearing, though. It's my steampunk fez created by Cookie. Although I painted it. It was funny because I used spray fabric paint on this, and I didn't want to take it outside because when I painted this, it was very, very cold out there. So I stood in the back doorway of the house, and because we've got kind of a landing there, and it looks like a murder scene. It's awesome. It is great. It's like that scene in the movie Support Your Local Gunfighter, Support Your Local Sheriff, where James Gardner doesn't get bars in for the jail cell, so he makes the prisoner, Bruce Dern, he's going to make him put in the bars when they show up. But until then, he makes him Gardner dribbles some red paint outside the open jail cell, and Bruce Dern's going, you don't even have a door. You can't wait a minute, what's that on the floor there? He goes, oh, that's from the last guy who made a comment about the jail door not being there. And about 2 scenes later, you see Bruce Dern, putting in the cement to put the door in. So nice. It's a great movie. And Joe Dog McKeel made it. Yay, Joe! Joe Dog is going to be on at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight with Stupid O'Clock. Please check that out. And also followed by Dan Hollifield's Last Man Standing. It's great. And this is a good subject. from the desk of the Small Press Publisher, should someone try to bring back Classics Illustrated? Let's I'm gonna make a note of that. 710. All right. That's a super idea, Joe. Thank you very much. And Sarah, I don't know who I spent 2 hours texting with last night. Some idiot in a fez, I suspect. And
a fez and nothing else.
Oh my!
I know.
Where was the fez?
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna say it. I had a line that was kind of funny, but I'm no. So, because we are visited now by the one, the only Phoenix Sisters. Mwah! Kelly and Crayley, how are you gals doing? These ladies do a lot of stuff on the back of the Cereal Box Network. Cosplay Cafe is a brand new show that they're involved with. Please check it out. And glad to have you here, ladies. And wow, Ryan's got another good question there. I've got an answer for that. Oh, believe me, I've got an answer for that.
I do too, actually.
I got 2.
Oh,
so well, tell you what. Do you want to do the reviews first, then we'll tackle the questions?
let's do that.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Now, Clyde, do you want to go first? Because Clyde may have to leave.
Yeah, I don't mind. Yes, if you would allow that, that would be wonderful for this week.
I think we.
Now,
can
everybody, keep in mind the rest of the reviews are really going to suck after this one. So stick around anyway, though.
Yeah, you may want to leave after.
Downhill's an easy grade. It's fine. It's all right.
It'll be a train wreck after this, so it'll be still fun to watch. Don't worry.
That's true. That's true. They haven't seen what I'm going to review or what I'm going to say about the company.
The reviewer is flawed, but the material for my review this week is really good. So that maybe the material is sets a high water mark at least. So we'll try that.
There we go. Okay, Clyde, we're going to give you the spotlight here and take it away, Clyde.
All right. Jeff Lemire has been one of my favorite writers ever since the Black Hammer series, and now Sweet Tooth has become a popular property, cinema property or television property. So people are beginning that didn't know who he was, they're beginning to learn. He's one of the most satisfying writers. Not everything he does breaks new ground, but it explores a lot of nostalgic themes sometimes in new ways. He can write very heartfelt. He can write very light and very funny. So he's quite a journeyman writer, and he's coming into his own. This is probably the peak of his popularity. So some comic book companies have given him some latitude to do some things that he might not normally try. One of them that came out this week, May's book. It is a beautiful story. Hurts to read it. It is so heartfelt. It's going to be a hard read for me. There's some things that happen in it that reflect some of the things in my own life, which means that, when an artist can touch you that way, it's pretty special. So this is one that I don't think he could have done before his popularity has come to pass a bit, but very worth picking up this week. But what we're going to review tonight is from, and that's Dark Horse for May's book. The one from tonight is from Image Comics, and it is called Primordial. It is number 1 of 6. It's a $3.99 cover price, written by Jeff Lemire. Art is by Sandria Sorrentino. Colors are by Dave Stewart. The letters are courtesy of Steve Wands. And its maturity level is rated M for mature. Let's take a look here. I picked 3 pages that really kind of exemplify, besides a very stylistic cover. We have a fairly standard layout. When we're doing normal panel work, it tends to be very regular. Most of a lot of them are just broken up into 6 panel pages. They have a very unique kind of style to them, almost like photographs that have been rendered or overdrawn. It's not Sorrentino's normal thing. And part of the story is told this way. That's the normal pages, but then you get these wonderful pages Eric, hold on to your bippy because
No.
this is some really, really big special effects sound effects.
Oh.
I love that. Oh, that's cool.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. And then you get into kind of the Space Odyssey and also Pink Floyd. Yeah. Areas like this.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Can you read this comic while you watch The Wizard of Oz and you finish both at the same time?
So, and again, that is an unusual look for anything that he's done before. The Maze book also has a very unique visual style, and I think this is part of his new, trying to push the boundaries of what he does with his art team. So, but Primordial, the solicits hooked me, and I'm glad I picked it up. It was really a good read. Welcome back to 1961. Again, America and her bitter Cold War rival, the USSR, have both removed their heads from the clouds, and they are now clearly focused on their global thermonuclear chess game. President Nixon is matching the Soviets' every troop buildup in Europe and authorizing limited military actions meant to curb their aggression. From the remains of the scrapped United States space program, science searches for missile technology which may give America an edge in future conflicts with the Reds. But it's a sure bet the communists are also looking over their failed rocket program in hopes of finding their own road to superior missile delivery systems. Yes, the plot laid before you is in Primordial #1, and it is not the Cold War history as we know it. In a world like ours, in other ways, something has tossed a temporal monkey wrench into the works, and the culprits might even be monkeys. In Jeff Lemire's new limited series, both the US and the USSR terminated their space programs when test animals sent into the heavens died shortly after reaching orbit. In the Soviets' case, it was the dog, Laika. In the United States, the monkeys Abel and Baker. The animals survived the G-forces of launch, but space proved lethal quickly to all three. This also varies from history as we know it. Laika, in real life, was treated as a disposable part of her 1957 Soviet mission, which had as an objective to see if a living mammal could survive attaining orbit and live within the man-made environmental chamber. There was no plan for retrieval. That was beyond their capability, though there was a system that ground control could activate to euthanize Laika and prevent any suffering once the tests were complete. Abel, a rhesus monkey, and Baker, a squirrel monkey, came back from their 1959 U.S. space flight alive. Abel, though, died 4 days after the mission from a reaction to anesthetic during surgery to remove one of the electrodes that they use for transmitting vital signs. Baker died at age 27, though, in 1984, and enjoyed a continuing status as a space race celebrity for her unusually long simian lifespan. But in Primordial, all three test animals die nearly the moment they reach space. That's according to official reports. So when protagonist Dr. Donald Pembroke is tasked with retrieving missile tech material from the former test animal facility at Cape Canaveral, he recovers pulse and respiration readouts, indicating that Abel and Baker did not die, as the official reports claimed. And soon he's neck deep in a government cover-up, and one that's not limited to just his own government. So this issue is weighty. Not in poundage, it's a regular size issue, but in its approach. Its aesthetic has the makings of a space odyssey on par with books and films, coining that term, and the X-Files, at its most serious, resonates within these pages. The first issue definitely weighs style against substance. Style edging ahead, but only slightly. This creative team wants us recognizing, discovering significance in their story. And there's a mythic pulse already established regarding the fates of these animals, whether real life or fictionalized fate. How often have we seen Laika or space dogs like her in comics and in films now, like Guardians of the Galaxy? When I was just a little kid and the Cold War was burning frigid in the hearts of all real Americans, my half-brother named his dog after Laika. He was so taken by the reports of the Cosmos Canine's sacrifice in exploring the frontiers of space. Giving your dog a name derived from any Russian space endeavor in 1963. That's a remarkable comment on the power of Laika's appeal. Laika's legacy and those of the simian astronauts is handled both with due respect and with seriousness. They're also an integral part of the foundation that this creative team lays for a promising sci-fi espionage thriller. Because the scales tip slightly in favor of style, there are elements which in any other book, helmed by any other artist, would probably rankle me. Huge open spaces, 2-page spreads, two of which we just saw, depicting limited action. These normally feel like wasted space, or like those in charge are trying to stretch out a brief narrative over a not brief spate of books. From many creators, it might even feel pretentious. But Andrea Sorrentino gets away with it. Not only gets away with it, but brings the reader into the first issue so deeply and with such appreciation of the graphics path chosen that visually I didn't even notice it on the first reading. If you're like me, you won't either. That's how right it feels. And both visually and textually, the result here is what you get when you have two master storytellers exploring and pushing boundaries of their skills and of the comic book format. They break the rules, and then they make you appreciate them for doing it. There are two distinct art styles contained in the first issue. Most of it is what I showed you. I didn't show you the last part because it would give away part of the plot. Each one requires distinctive coloring, though, to match. Dave Stewart is equal to the challenge, and the stylish versus realistic poles that he traverses in handling that art style of Sorrentino's, it proves it. Steve Wands does the lettering. He's also credited with design, and it's entirely possible that his work and Stewart's and Sorrentino's are all blended until they all deserve credit in the varying categories. I just get the feeling that they blur together. So I don't mean to hold up one as being necessarily the brainchild of what has come to pass. It could be quite a collaborative effort. But in Wan's case, he's adroitly kept the story pace with varieties of fonts, a path that couldn't have been very easy because you've got recordings and conversations and handwriting and extraterrestrial settings and sounds. So his full-page sound effect splash that I showed you, that delivers a font punch of cosmic proportion to kind of put the cherry on top of the sundae for a job well done on the lettering. While their style and substance equilibrium is in balance, Lemire and company take a lot of risks with his first issue. Most of them pay off beautifully. A few leave you wishing the launch was a double-sized issue, maybe, to show more of this fascinating world that they're building and more of the protagonist who's got a very precarious position within it. With style more in check, guided by usual panel aesthetics, you might have managed additional story to be presented in this first issue, and some readers, they may have enjoyed number one more if that had been the case, but less builds up the thriller part of this formula. And it also stokes the desire for more so that it perpetuates a percolation that becomes red hot, waiting for next month to bring issue number 2. I think it works in that sense. So my score for Primordial number 1 is 7.5 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll drink to that, sir.
Yeah.
I'll join him in drinking. No, very well done, Clyde. Very well done. Yeah, it does sound good. It does sound interesting.
I would say, and I read one person was saying that Lemire, with the spate of titles, Dark Horse, Image, he's got another Black Hammer redo going. Two of them,
did
actually.
A great run on Moon Knight.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And on Bloodshot.
Yes. And they said that like he's at the top of his form, and I don't know that I could disagree from what I read of his stuff. These 2 issues, I was floored last week by how good Primordial was, and then just this afternoon I managed to find time and got into May's book and floored again in a completely different way. So kudos to you, Mr. Lemire.
Very cool. Very cool indeed.
Nice.
Well, thank you very much, Clyde. Appreciate
Mm-hmm.
it. All right. So who wants to go next?
Sure.
All right. So as we've gone out of order, I'm totally lost. So but here he is.
take the order a different direction.
That's right. There we go. Yeah. That works.
No reason skipping around.
That's true. That's true. I'm willing to go last. Save the worst for last. But anyway, we have now Mr. Eric S. Hawkins taking the spotlight dance. What have you for us, Eric?
Well, I'm going to review one comic, but I got a couple of comics to show. And I'll tell everybody, okay, last week I was under the weather. I did have COVID. The wife had COVID. My brother has COVID, but keep my brother in your thoughts. He's actually in the hospital still. He went in yesterday. Not in intensive care or anything, but he's still in the hospital, but the rest of us are doing fine. Just tired. So I did get to go to the comic shop as soon as I came off quarantine.
The man has to have priorities.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Here's your challenge. Here's your challenge for tonight.
Oh, I think I will. Maybe not. Doesn't matter. So for Joe, no. Vinyl is too violent, too bloody, too horror related. But issue 4, just it's as good as the other ones have been. I also picked up. Now this surprised me because I picked this up and it's not normally a title I would pick up, but I've always loved the character. I don't know all of his lore and everything, but I was sure this is what Clyde would review this week.
Yeah.
Which it's pretty good. I liked it. I really liked it. And I got this in the mail today, along with
Woo-hoo!
this. It's another stuff.
Yay!
I already read it. I'm very upset about it because now I have to wait. I was like, no, where's the rest? I want more. Very, very good job. It looks great. Came in perfect. Love the hat. Love the hat that you're wearing that I got with it to give to my granddaughter. But everything is great about it. I love it. And she's going to be reading this too. She has asthma very bad, and she always feels like the world's against her because of it. So thought that would be a good book for her.
Yeah.
Except for all the nudity in it. I don't know where that came from.
Hey, man, look, I have to express myself any way I can, okay?
Now, this one is also a crowdfunded book that showed up this week. I don't think you can get it anywhere, but I just want to throw a shout out to the Tonic Mole, the creator of Saving the World. This is issue 5. Now, his first issue came out when my second issue of Zombie for World of Oz came out. So he's put out 5 issues in 2 years, plus another book. And it always comes in a branded bag with all kinds of little goodies. Ooh. And it's a very quirky book. It won't be for everyone, but I mean, it's another crowdfunding guy that puts out his stuff on time, puts out a lot too. And Mr. Rodman, in issue 3, he had a variant cover by Jim Lawson.
Oh, wow.
And a short story in one of his other books by Jim Lawson.
Well, then.
And I know you know who Jim Lawson is.
I do.
Oh, he comes with these little doll cuts.
This will keep Eric busy for hours.
And those are from 2 issues. But, look at that! How pretty that is.
Yes,
that is.
Yeah. So I am going to review a Marvel book. Let me bring up my notes so I don't mess anything up here, especially names. Moon Knight #3 by Marvel, 399.
Yes,
written by Jed McKay and drawn by Alessandro Cappuccio.
Hey,
Billy Bob.
Check out this cover. Now, someone out there help me realize what cover this is based on, because it's Steve McNiven after Jay Lee. I don't know if it's a Hellshock cover, a Namor cover, or a Inhumans cover. But I can see it in my head, but I can't place the character at all. But I thought this was a Jay Lee cover. It looked so much like Jay Lee, but it's a Steve McNiven after Jay Lee. But this issue, #3, brings together what I've been waiting for since issue 1, which they ended issue 1 teasing Hunter's Moon. They ended issue 2 teasing Hunter's Moon. Mm-hmm. And finally, we get Hunter's Moon and a badass fight throughout the whole thing, because Hunter's Moon is a fist of Khonshu. And Moon Knight's like, well, why do you think you're a fist of Khonshu? And Hunter's Moon's like, well, are you too stupid to think Khonshu only has one fist? So, of course, he's got 2 fists. the Hunter's Moon and the Moon Knight. And apparently, I've never thought about this before. Maybe I've missed it, but there has been Fists of Khonshu's all down through history. And when a warrior is granted the Fist of Khonshu, he gets the knowledge of all the previous Fists of Khonshu's, which is how Hunter Moon has all of his fighting prowess. And he's very disappointed in Moon Knight because Moon Knight doesn't have any of this. He's kind of a savage fighter. He doesn't have all the finesse that he should have by having all the history of all the other Moon Knights or Fists of Khonshu's downloaded into him. And he tells Hunter's Moon, well, it's probably because it's too crowded up here. They couldn't fit.
Good point.
So we start out kind of similar to issue 1 with he's back at the therapist because he's got all kinds of issues going on up inside that head. And he's telling him, I've got an enemy. Or he's telling the lady he's got an enemy. She goes, well, I think you'd have a bunch of enemies. So he's telling the story after he's already fought with Hunter's Moon. But Hunter's Moon is upset with him because he's harboring Moon Knight. Mark is harboring vampires. They're not baby vampires, but they're young vampires that returned unwittingly. I'm going to catch my breath for a minute.
Jeez, why don't you breathe? God,
I
it's
feel
so
like
hard
a
to
rock.
breathe.
This gave it to me.
I transferred my asthma powers to you.
Gave me the asthma. But I mean, there's some great fight scenes in here. I mean, most of the book is these two fighting, and Hunter's Moon is a better fighter. He has, he's got all these abilities and knowledge of all the previous fighters, but Moon Knight's got a little something extra. I think he's got he's got the craziness going. He actually tells Hunter's Moon at one point, you better have what it takes to kill me for good, because when I come back in the next panel, and I always do, he just threatens him some more. I've been excited for Moon Knight for years. It's always been one of my favorite characters. I've always been disappointed. A new series comes out 2 years later, it's canceled. And I'm sure that's what's going to happen with this one. Unless it falls into hype for the Disney Plus series that kicks off next year sometime. Hopefully it will. Hopefully people will like it. Oscar Isaac's going to be in the TV series. And I like Oscar Isaac. I think he could do a good job as long as the writers can do a good job with the character. Because it's not easy to write crazy. You think, any writer or artist could draw crazy and write crazy, but it's not easy to write crazy. We could be crazy, but it doesn't always work translating it to the page. As far as a Moon Knight story and the pacing of the story itself, it's moving along good. I was disappointed with issue 2 just because it just left off the same place issue 1 was. I wanted to see the big fight. And I got to see the big fight, and it's awesome. The imagery is great. Everything's great about it. Colors, the art, the writing. I love this book, and I hope it sticks around. And like I said, Jeff Lemire did a great story in Moon Knight. I think it's been a few years ago now, where he was in a mental institute being crazy. And Jeff Lemire can write the crazy. As well as Jed McKay can here. So it's a good book. I recommend it. I think Joe would even like this book. Wow. And I give this just because of the fight scenes alone. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Nice.
Very nice.
So
it was
made me so happy.
That's good. We have some comments that Eric has inspired here concerning the nebulizer book. I am still shocked about the pew pew gun.
Yes.
That was a nice touch. Now that we all have our copies of the nebulizer, maybe we should gang review it or something. And
we should just all throw them across the room.
Yeah. I'll call the FAA for all of us. But anyway, let's see. And from this, a small press publisher, he told Hunter's Moon that he ran out of hard drive space in his Windows 3.1 brain. Sorry, I had to play up the mental issues. You monster, you.
That's exactly it. He says there's too much going on up here. It's too crowded. The only thing Khonshu has ever given me is what did he say? Bad memories or something. I mean, it was just Mark didn't have good things to say about Khonshu.
That's how it is when you work for somebody, you know, and you tend to bite the hand that feeds you. Russell Allen is here, Russ Explode Studio. Good to see you. Hey, Eric. And you said crazy, and here I am. He's like the candy man of comics. Anyway, let's see. And here we go. And Sarah goes, I'm half listening to the show because I'm tempted to go berserk at Midgard again, but my shields aren't strong enough. Sarah, maybe you should call us, one of us, before you go in. And of course, we're going, Sarah, just calm down and go ahead and do it. It's all right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
buy everything you can grab. Yeah,
that's right. We are enablers here. So anyway, keep the comments coming, friends. So Brian, do you want to go next, or
I would love to.
Then I think you should take the spotlight. Thank you.
Fantastic. Sir. Before I get into what I'm going to be reviewing, I do want to show off a little bit of what I got this week.
Dude, you just muted yourself. Hold it. Maybe I can unmute you.
That was
there.
Weird.
We go. I got you. Okay.
So I haven't read this yet, but just wanted to kind of peruse through everything that I got this week. King Spawn #2 came out, which I reviewed King Spawn #1 a few weeks ago. It was awesome, and I'm very excited about this. It does feel a little light, so I don't know. I'll tell you how it is later. I feel like doesn't seem like there's any ads, so that's a good sign. I also got, and I got to tell you this: if you guys like the artwork of Mike Mignola, you're gonna love this guy. If you haven't heard of him already, which if you haven't, where you been? Is Andrew McLean. And Headlopper is an awesome series from Image Comics. If there was ever a comic book series that should be an Adult Swim cartoon show, it's this one. It is so much fun. It's about a Viking and a witch head named Agatha that he carries around. And they hate each other. She's always, roasting him, and it's hilarious. But it's got some really epic storytelling, really good action sequences. This is actually volume 4, because McLean, what he does is his book Headlopper comes out quarterly, and it's like a 45-page issue every time. So and then at the end of the year, every year he does 4 issues, and at the end of the year he does the trade. I usually just wait for the trades to come out, and I might get the books on Comixology, but I'm rereading volume 3 right now. So just to kind of give you get a good taste of what the artwork looks like here, I can show it off for you. The colors are just fantastic. So here's a really good page to show off from volume 3.
Ooh,
cool. Lovely.
Yeah. It looks like a hardcore Adventure Time type style, which I really dig, and it fits the story so well. Andrew McLean also has a story out he did through Dark Horse a while back called Apocalypta Girl, and it is really great. It's about a lady and her cat in the distant dystopian future, and it's a really fun read. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about this week. Ladies and gentlemen, and others, if you are not aware, it is fall. I'm wearing my cardigan. It's a wonderful, brisk 55 degrees outside. Going to reach the 40s tonight in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm very excited about that. I have started my annual reading of Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and made my first pot of chili last night. So it is officially fall. To go with that, Creep magazine has now turned into Shudder magazine, and their first issue came out this week. And just to get you in the spirit, in the Halloween spirit, that is Auntie Shudder. And I am going to transform before your eyes and read the welcome to the first inaugural issue of Shudder. Welcome to the first great collector's edition of Shudder magazine. Your old Auntie Shudder here, and I'll be your host as we journey through these terror-filled pages inside. You will find all new work from the greatest horror comics and writers in the history of monsterdom. I've scoured the globe for the world's top talent to bring you the kinds of terror tales that haven't been seen for nearly 50 years. Presented in the classic style of the best black and white illustrated horror magazines of the 1960s and 70s, Shudder is dedicated to preserving the style of horror comics that were being created at the height of the genre when realism ruled and dark, moody illustrations brought the world of monsters, creatures, and things that go bump the night to life. Now, enter my world. It's guaranteed to make you shudder. Oh, well, that was ridiculous. So, no, this issue is packed with just some really fun stories. As always, it's the same. If you've read, any of the old Warren magazines, if you read Creep, then you absolutely, it's the same exact style. They just had to change the name for legal reasons. Right off the bat, they've got a really cool table of contents. It's all black and white newsprint paper. Just smells amazing. Smells like childhood. And just here's a couple samples of the different stories. I mean, look at that, just classic black and white horror. Das Frankenstein Corp. So, but the two tales that I read, I'm just going to review one of them, and I do want to bring up the story, the Sherlock Holmes story that you were talking about, Clyde, is pretty much echoed in this story, The Legacy of the Vampire. It's about Van Helsing's descendant and his new assistant as they go to a baron's house hunting vampires. And by the end of it, they become vampires themselves and join the ranks, as it were. So his assistant becomes the baron, and then he becomes just the butler. And they're all familiars and vampires. But yeah, it was interesting when you said that. I was like, wait, I feel like I just read that. But no, the story that I want to review tonight is actually the last story in the magazine, and it is called When I Was Dead. And unlike most of the stories, it has a prologue, which I thought was really cool. First, right off the bat, it's just really just moody, gothic, black and white, just really beautiful artwork here. And the whole story, it's a short story. It kind of gives itself away pretty early on, but really it's all about being alone, which kind of shocked me because I've not shied away from the fact that the last year, now almost 2 years now, mostly I have been, especially all year last year, like many people, I was isolated at home. And it talks about, it really reaches into just the feeling of loneliness and the feeling of kind of losing your mind a little bit because you're being alone. And in the prologue, actually, the main character is telling his friend that if you put drops of blood near you and you focus on the blood, then it will manifest into a ghost. And he's telling him all the intricate details. His friend looks at him and he says, you know what? It's like, why don't you get out of town? Why don't you go down, to the pub and, throw a few back and have a little good time? And the guy's response is, be poisoned by bad hotel food and bad conversation at the clubs? No thanks. Which I can understand because that's how I genuinely feel about the world right now. So, but no, the artwork, I have a secret. I'm not much scares me. When I was a kid, scary movies, scary stories would always just scare me to death. And so I would force myself to watch these. And eventually I grew to love them. Thankfully to the Universal monsters and really all the Abbott and Costello horror comedies that they did, I really started warming up to horror and began to really appreciate the genre. And if you've seen my work, you know how that's turned out. But the one thing that still really gets under my skin and makes me, shudder, if you will, it makes, and that is old creepy women. So like the second I saw this panel, I'm not kidding, my skin crawled. I was like, and that made me love it even more. But the premise of the story is this man who has been in isolation and has been fixating on this experiment of dropping blood and focusing on it to manifest these creatures. He manifests this old hag, and her very presence makes him out of a heart attack, and he dies. And throughout the entire story, he's dead. And all of his servants are ignoring him. It kind of is a little bit of a Sixth Sense Bruce Willis feel, right? Like, spoiler alert, I guess. But but yeah, like, by the end of it, he's a ghost with the hag in his library. And but it's just an interesting, what the story they tell, the mood that they tell, the really quick, I forgot. The artist is Monsieur Damon. I'm guessing he's French. And the story is Artie Goodwin, not French. So but yeah, it's a great story. And like I said, this is called When I Was Dead, but there are 7 stories in this inaugural issue of Shudder #1. So from the story, I'm going to rate it, I would say 7 out of 10. It's a really good story. With little short stories, you can only do so much. It does a really good job, and it really does a good job captivating the mood and setting the tone. The artwork is phenomenal as well. So solid 7 out of 5. I would give the inaugural issue #1 of Shudder a 9 out of 10. It's a solid start. Go pick it up. And really, I got to say this. I think I've said this before, but it's worth saying again. I didn't know that these types of magazines were still around, because if you don't go to a comic shop, you're probably not going to know, because I didn't know. I've made comics for the last 6 years professionally. I didn't know these were still around. And I saw them at my comic book shop, and I was like, this is cool. There's a ton of these magazines, and they're so much fun. If you dig old school horror, if you dig Hammer horror, dig like the old like Creeps and the old EC Comics horror, you're going to love this. So I highly suggest go pick up Shudder and add it to your pull box. And that's all I have this week.
All right. That's brilliant. Thank you very much.
I have 2 very important questions.
Yes,
wonderful.
Eric.
The vampire story. First panel on the second page of that, is that the butler from Rocky Horror?
Yes, I saw that and thought of that too.
Okay,
I
saw it briefly. I mean, it was just a second. Like, it looks really familiar to me.
There's him, and of course the other guy, the main guy. You can really tell here. It pops up a couple times actually in different stories. This guy, where'd it go? This guy right here really reminds me of Vincent Price.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like just completely rip that off. And there's a couple other stories in here too, where the character, I'm like, whoa, that's just Vincent Price. But yeah,
and at the top of that page, you see Peter Lorre.
Yes, yes.
Are
There's
you
a
two
lot
in the
of little
same
cool
room?
stuff.
my second question is probably a more important one regarding the chili. So here on the Illinois side of St. Louis, many of us in this little area here in school, when we had chili, they gave us a certain type of sandwich. And to this day, I have to have that with my chili, and most people find it strange. A peanut butter sandwich.
Yes.
Okay,
I know of certain people.
I mean, just across the river in St. Louis, they think I'm nuts.
No. I know people here in Kentucky, here in Louisville that do that. Yeah. Now, bigger question with the chili: noodles or no noodles?
Well, with noodles, it's chili mac.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
You
yeah.
Because my wife, we have a split household.
No, the real question: does it have beans or not? And if it does, is it chili?
Yeah.
I like mine. I make my chili a little different. Mine is actually a little more salsa based, actually. Oh. Yeah. If you're ever in the Louisville area for an extended amount of time, let me know ahead of time and I'll make you some chili to go. Cool. Or you can just come have dinner with me. But
that could always work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're on the go, either way, I'll make you some because it's not like any other chili I've ever had.
I've had chili both ways, with beans, with no beans, and
me too.
I like it with beans sometimes, but when we have chili, there's always leftovers, and by the third day of leftovers, the beans have been too much for my stomach.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this:
hurting my stomach.
if you've seen me in person, or if you've seen an extended picture of myself, you'll know I've never seen chili that I did not enjoy. So whatever's in it, I'll eat it because if it's chili, I enjoy it.
Well, Cookie makes our a homemade chili here, and she puts in numerous types of beans, not just the kidney beans, but she'll put in black beans, pinto beans, things like that. She's even put in chickpeas occasionally, just for a little texture. Yeah. She also chops up carrots like razor thin for just a little sweet touch.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking ahead
at recipes.
I'm looking ahead at Ted's anger, and I have to agree. I agree with you, Ted. I am not a chili. I'm not a spaghetti or chili mac fan. I don't really do that.
I'm not either.
But my wife does.
Leftover macaroni and cheese mixed with the chili. Yeah. Because I love cheese in my chili.
Cindy
yeah.
Cheesy chili. I occasionally like to put a little Parmesan on top of mine.
Oh, I'll say, hey, I'm serious here. Put Cheez-Its in the chili.
Yeah.
Just stir that up.
I do it like
Fritos. Cereal.
I really like Fritos in my chili.
Yeah. Well, the Cheez-Its, it's they're cheesy crackers already, so it just adds that deliciousness.
Aged to perfection.
Yes, and from this Full Press Publisher likes having cheese and red onions in his chili. Ain't
No,
nothing
that's
strange about that.
Good. No,
that's good eats there.
Yeah.
Sometimes because my dad always did, he would just have a wedge of onion with his chili. He wouldn't slice it and put it in there. And I'll do that. I'll eat a wedge of onion if I'm eating chili.
Really interesting.
Yeah, I've heard people that can do that. And let's see. Let's go back here and let's see. Here we go. And Russell Allen about the sound off earlier said too much Brian for live TV.
Apparently.
Facebook just went error 404. Let's see. Here we go. And from this Small Press Publisher, why do you keep hiding that beauty in you, Brian? Seriously, good voiceover.
Yeah.
And Sarah says, crap. That's twice I've been told of Shutter Magazine. Fine, I'll put it on my list of things
What was the price on the Shutter?
It's like
$5.99.
What was this one?
$5.95.
It's like a magazine size, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys have actually been to a bookstore and looked at magazines recently.
Yeah.
Those things are ridiculous.
Yeah.
$10, $15, $20
This
for a
is
magazine.
This is not that. The highest, like the collectors. So like, and Brian, you had this too. The annual. Now this one is $9.95.
Right.
The annual for Creeps, but that's because it's got a lot more stories in it.
Yeah.
And this was the last issue of Creeps. So
right. And a little notice here, please pick it up at your local comic shop. They should be able to order it if they don't carry it already. But if you don't have a comic shop, they might have it at Barnes and Noble or Books A Million, because that's where I first learned about them.
Yeah, they can't. They do. They have it at Barnes and Noble. If they don't already have it, they can order it for you there.
Yeah,
for sure.
So obviously I'm a fan too. And I love how the fact that they changed the title so it wouldn't be so reminiscent of creepy.
Yeah.
So of course the guy draws the front cover to look like the original Jack Davis creepy number 1.
I know, I love it. It's great. I think it was just like a stick it to the man kind of thing.
Yeah. And they didn't lose the layout or anything. But and our buddy Lou Motion wrote a couple stories in there too. Plus there's
really?
Yeah, the first story and one other, and plus Don Bluth, who is the associate editor, was actually a contributor to the original Creepy magazine. So
look at that.
Yeah. So
anyway, very cool.
Yeah, and Eerie is being collected. Are you talking about the Dark Horse Archive series there? And I love you, Rodman. And part of me wants to say, shut up, because I've already dropped 130 at my comic shop yesterday. I knew it was going to happen, so I'm doing it to myself, but I can't help it. And Cindy Kemp is, and we're glad you're here, CKOEPP.com. I need to find a non-major chili. And let's see. We just had a comment dump there. And yes, chili. Oh, now I'm hungry. And Fab 4 Health Conscious Cooking Show. That's right.
I put Yingling in my chili. That's what won me to cook off at work last time.
That's awesome. I'll tell you, Guinness stew is some of the best stew I've ever had in my life.
Sounds good.
Yes, we've got a restaurant that serves that. And John Celestri, glad to have you here, brother. Cincinnati Skyline chili. Yeah, Skyline.
If you like, what is it, cocoa and cinnamon?
Yeah.
Is in the recipe.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the chili. I'm not a fan of the chili itself, but I like the conies a lot. The chili dogs that they have.
Yeah, I see it, Eric. Thank you.
Our visitor has come back.
Yes. And Pops Van Sant, Comic Talk Pops Van Sant, glad to have you here. Yes, the Hat Club is meeting tonight. And Cindy Kemp says, I periodically threaten to put together a cookbook for people who can't eat anything. One of these days I'm going to do it. I seriously think you should.
Yeah.
I think there is a super market for that. So, and let's see, here we go. And Sarah says, along with the collections I'm getting, I'm picking up all sorts of genres for super cheap to branch out my horizons. Well, good for you. Very cool. And that's what we're here for, to try to expand everyone's horizons. God knows I'm spending more on comics. And Cookie, I'd like to have a word with you three, by the way. But anyway, actually,
I count my. It's like 2 to 3 a week, and that's about my limit. I'm trying to keep it down.
I'm trying to be better
Geeks website. I've gone out there and I've gone out and picked the books I want, and you could, and like the site Brian was talking about a couple months ago, they'll link to your comic book store.
Yeah.
Well, they haven't linked to my comic book store yet, and it's been like a month. But at least they also sent me an email of what I had added to my pull list for them. So, then I get my pull list from the comic book store. I was like, well, it's not on there yet. I'm going to have to ask them if they ever actually sync up. So I go in with my emails. Okay. No, not this week. But usually it's that's why I got Doctor Strange, because I saw that there's I'm picking up a Spider-Man book in a couple of weeks too.
Nice.
Yeah, I will say the pull box has actually helped me financially, because it has stopped me from perusing as much. Like, I have to pass a couple aisles, but they're not any of the new ones. And because on my app I can go through them on my phone and I can make wiser decisions, whereas I'm in the moment in the store, I'm like Sarah, I'm just like, yes, give it to me now. And then of course I get to the cash register and they're like $150, and I'm like, oh, I have to sleep on the couch for so long. So
or just not come home.
But at least I have my comics. That's good. But no, I mean, this week I picked, these were the two that I got from the comic book store, and then my Headlopper came in the mail. So
nice. Well, Jody McPhee, 10 p.m. Saturday nights, by the way, Eastern time. The Old Warren Publishing Eerie is being collected into hardcover volumes. Very nice. I
saw that. I had them on Comixology, or KDP or whatever it is now. And I have a couple of the first volumes.
Yeah, you know me, KDP.
Oh my god.
All the homies.
Yo.
so much whiteness is happening right now.
I know. We're really translucent here, yeah. Oh, so I guess it's my turn now.
Hey Brian, when you get done with your review, if I'm not sitting here, I'm just gonna go to the bathroom, because I've been drinking a lot of fluids. I don't want you to be nervous or anything and think I pulled a Rodman fast out.
Yeah, he's a rookie. I know how to not breathe. He doesn't. That's how it
right.
works.
My God, yeah. You may have to coach him, Brian. But no, I was thinking more like an Amy Hale sort of thing. And that's the thing. See, you can tell we're old because we're starting to like trade stories of what's wrong with us now in our private chats. But it's like I switched the time I was taking my diuretic because I have high blood pressure. Usually I'm a carrier, but the thing was, I switched it from the mornings to nights, and that was not a wise move on my part because I woke up like 5 times last night.
Make sure you put on those extra depends. That's what that means.
That's why we have the Podcatheter available now from Rising Tide Industries. And here we go from this Small Press Publisher, only Eric. And Anthony Bavo, glad to have you here, brother. He's reading a horror graphic novel at the moment. Glad to have you here. And yeah, tell everybody what it is. Ask Sarah. So I guess it's my turn now. I will take this so that we won't see Eric voiding himself on television or whatever this is. So yeah, Clyde, you better tape those eyes shut now, man. It's going to get worse. Anyway, because now I'm here and I just told you all the times I got up last night. So welcome to the old folks home. But anyway, no, it was a pretty light week for me. Also, I too got Shudder magazine. Totally recommend this. This is it was great when it was Creeps magazine. It still has got the same bite and the same quality. Do check it out. Next thing on the list, we're halfway through the Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Pretty quiet cover, but you'll see why. It's a very emotional moment in the comic. But Supergirl and her little friend are still after Krem of the Yellow Hills, who wounded Supergirl and Crypto in the opening issue. And Supergirl and her friend are tracking this character down. And there's a very emotional moment at the end where Supergirl decides that she will go on, but won't let her friend do it. And there's some great dialogue. There's some good moments in here. The story is by Tom King, former Batman scribe, Mr. Miracle maxi series. Bill Evely is the artist, does a wonderful, very European looking job, has done so far on this. And I love how he or she, I don't know what gender, I'm sorry. They draw Supergirl using her powers, kind of like a third person observer. It's not given the power of, say, a Jack Kirby or a Kurt Swan, but it's almost matter of fact how she uses her superpowers, and it's quite refreshing. Matthias Lopez is the colorist and Clayton Cowles is the letterer. This has got some really good stuff in here. Definitely recommend it. This is one of those weeks where normally when I introduce the magazines I review, I kind of go from the one I liked least to the one I like best. This is kind of an exception. I really liked them all this week, but for different reasons. But here's one that I picked up on a whim. And it wasn't until I got home I realized what publisher I got it from. And I've been dissing this publisher because, frankly, I've not seen a lot from them that I found innovative or captivating. There are some people who treat this company like they are the pinnacle of comics success, and I can't see it. In fact, there's a couple people who've done books for them I don't like at all on a personal level. But anyway, the exception to the rule came into yesterday. A thief pretending to be a hero, it's not impossible. It's Impossible Jones. And the tagline is using her powers for good, not evil, mostly. And it starts out with a heist being committed by Holly Days. Okay.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, and she has an MO. It's all Christmas motif as she's stolen the MacGuffin necklace. But our heroine shows up very much inspired by the Jack Cole Plastic Man stuff, where she peels herself off of the billboard with her name on it and attacks the villains. And then, of course, there's some superhero stuff going on, like where she absorbs the bullets and lets them out. Ow, ow, ow. And then she pulls a couple of, like in a Warner Brothers cartoon, pulls out the big ass guns and shoots her fists through them. It's beautiful stuff. Beautiful artwork by David Hahn and Tony Avila on colors. And then as Holly Days is singing a song as she's making her escape, well, then she uses a flamethrower made of a menorah. Okay. And of course, Impossible Jones subdues her in the top panel. And the two are buddying around as Impossible Jones takes the necklace for herself to fence herself. And then we launch back into Impossible's origin, how she gained these amazing powers and the people she hung out with and the superheroes who are in this city, such as, well, you see this character who's using a pole to leap around and uses as a weapon. His name is Polecat. Okay. And he's joined by another superhero and somebody here. You see that black and white? His name is Even Steven. Kind of a Mr. A kind of character. And it has a great cliffhanger, not totally unexpected, but it's a great story by Carl Kessel, who is probably most known as an inker originally. He's inked a number of people, including John Byrne's Superman, did a lot of stuff for Marvel, and he eventually switched to being a writer. He is co-creator of King Shark, as well as the Con-El Superboy. Okay. Now, this is from Scout Comics. Again, I've not been really impressed with anything they've put out. But this one is a fun, quick-paced romp that reminds you equally of 60s comics mixed with Saturday morning cartoons. And it's a great ride. And I also see that Carl Kessel has some extra stories that he has put out of Impossible Jones, and they're currently on Kickstarter. I am currently weighing how much I value my life with Cookie's budget and how much more of this character I want, which is a lot. And it's kind of a matte cover on this, really nice cardstock cover with glossy insides for $3.99. No parental advisement it has on the UPC on the back. But this thing delivers so much entertainment. The next issue isn't out till like next year. And I want it now. I want it freaking now because this is everything I think comics should be. Well written, well drawn, fast paced, a lot of fun. And so I'm going to go out there and say, I'm only going to downgrade it because it is Scout Comics. The rest of their line is.
Hey, what about Midnight Western Theater? Come on, that's
is that out?
Yeah,
there's two comics then, but there were no horse skeletons in this one.
Their 5th issue came out this week, where they didn't have a second issue for like 4 months.
Oh,
then they've been coming out regularly, but I still haven't gone back. Screw it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, you'll be happy, Eric. You have a bum. Here.
Well, there's a bum right below it too. Whoa.
I know, and a couple bums over here, and there's a bum holding up the comic, and then a quack and walk over here in the bottom.
Those look like old Batman TV show villains with a little mask.
It does, and I love it. And of course, multiple Vreeps. So you want your sound effects, you got it. So I'm giving this a 9.5.
Cool.
This is seriously good entertainment. I really dug this issue. And I may have to find recipes for Crow where it comes to Scout Comics. I'm sorry.
I doubt it.
Yeah, probably not. A lot of it is crap. Anyway.
No. I will say I have found really good things. There's a new series. Like, on principle, I'm not pursuing the Phantom Star Killer series that puts out a new #1 with a different character.
Yeah.
I'm not. On principle, I'm not. The stories themselves are good.
Yeah.
I'm being prideful and not doing it.
Good for you.
But the same creative team, or the same writer rather, is doing a new series in Black Caravan, which is the horror, version of the horror wing of Scout Comics. And it's called We Don't Kill Spiders, and it is really good.
Idol.
Yeah, it is really, really good. So Scout Comics, I don't agree with how they put comics out for the most part.
Yeah.
But they do have some really good stories. I will give them that for sure.
They've got tons of titles. I mean,
they really do.
Yeah, if you like comics, you'll probably be able to find something you like.
Yeah, it just took me this long to find it, though. But
yeah,
I saw Carl Kessel's name, and I knew I had to have it. So, well, anyway, that was our comics review, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your contributions. Let's go back to the questions we got earlier. From the desk of a small press publisher, Joe D. McPhee asks, topic, should someone try to bring back Classics Illustrated?
All right, I'm a youngster, I guess. What is Classics Illustrated? Because I don't know. I'm not familiar with this.
Well, Clyde, do you want to take it, or you want me to?
Basically, it's a comic book adaptation of classic literature like Ivanhoe. I've got one on the spinner rack out there that's an Ivanhoe adaptation. And, tries to present in a comic book format the Cliff's Notes version of a story. Originally, it was meant to introduce young readers to things like the Three Musketeers without them having to actually read the novel.
Yeah.
Pique their interest and get them, wanting to read it. Of course, it's a big spoiler, most of them, because you find out what happens. But it was also pretty enchanting, and Marvel did one back when I was in high school. They launched their own kind of series. Alfredo Alcala, we were talking about. I think he was one of the people that did some of the artwork and really made them beautiful. Before that, it was. I didn't get them a lot as a kid because they were always higher. They always cost more. They were no, I don't think they had any ads, did they?
I don't think they did. I seem to recall that they were like annual size. They were thick. And this is when comics were like at about 20 to 25 cents, and these were 50 cents. And I remember the first year's worth of Marvels were a lot of the Filipino artists that were prevalent during that time, like Rico Rival and Alfredo Alcala and such. And then they started getting a few of the mainstream artists. I seem to recall Gene Colan. I know he did at least a cover. He might have done an interior too, but they had people like I think Roy Thomas may have done one or two. I remember David Anthony Kraft did some, Scott Edelman, some of the, I don't want to say B-listers. Doug Mensch did a lot, but Doug Mensch was one of the most prolific writers at the time, with the co-creator of Moon Knight.
Now, was that where Bernie Wrightson did Frankenstein, or is that just his own thing?
That was an independent project that he worked for about 10 years on. And as far as the original Classics Illustrated, it had a number of people, really good artists. Jack Kirby, I think, did some too. They also had a Classics Illustrated Junior, which did like Fables and kids books.
Johnny Appleseed.
Johnny Appleseed, Aesop's Fables, things like that. Whereas the mainstream line, that's I remember they had a Frankenstein. They did Hound of the Baskervilles there too.
Oh, of course.
And but the first one I picked up though was Edgar Allan Poe stories.
Ooh, now
like
that would be cool.
The Gold Bug, and that's where I first read the story, A Cask of Amontillado.
Yes,
which is one of the scariest stories ever to me. But that ran for about 15, 20 years, and then the line folded.
It ran from 41 to 71.
Oh, even longer than I thought.
Yeah. But then it was revised back in 90 for a year by First Comics. Then 97 and 98, Acclaim Books revised it again. And then most recently, it looks like Paper Cuts acquired the license in 2008, but that only ran through 2014.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. Yeah, and I remember the one from First Comics. I think there was a Tom Sawyer by Mike Plug.
Ooh.
And then there was another I think there's like 2 or 3 by Rick Geary, who does a series of wonderful books about various mass murderers that you can pick up in the library.
Bill Sienkiewicz did some stuff for the first comics too.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. But yeah, like Clyde said, they were kind of a shorthand version of the classics. But in my case, it did inspire me to read the real thing. Because, you know, it's like a thing about, you know, you see the movie, then you read the book to see if it's similar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I never used it as a substitute, but I think
really,
I was the only one in my class that didn't.
I have to find it. This might be a Classics Illustrated. That's what got me into Dracula. Well, other than the movies, of course, you know, the Bela Lugosi movie. But actually, when I was a kid, I didn't even realize it was a book until I was a little older. And my dad, we went to a comic book store and picked up a comic version of Dracula.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it was this or not, but then that of course got me because I didn't know it was all written in letters and, you know, journal entries and things like that, which is so fascinating. Sidebar really quick, not to get off topic, but if you're interested on Audible, there is an excellent version. It's what I'm listening to right now that has Alan Cumming as Dr. Seward and Tim Curry as Van Helsing. And it's an all-star cast. It's phenomenal. I listen to it every year, and it is. I think I'm on like chapter 10 now. I started last night, so it's great. So go on Audible. You don't have to have the subscription. You can buy it, and it's well worth it.
Yeah, so. I told Cookie about your listening to that, and I think I may have to get like Audible now. So
yeah, the good thing about Audible is, and Audible, if you're listening, please sponsor Brian's shows.
What he said.
Exactly. No, Audible, you just download the app and you don't have to have the monthly subscription anymore. They used to do that. You don't have to do that anymore. You can just buy the books, but it actually is cheaper if you get the monthly subscription. And I have a cheat code, so hit me up and I can help you out. Go that route. Indeed. Yeah.
I like it. So anyway, I think the answer is yes. I think it'd be fun if this company not only did classics but maybe more contemporary books as well.
Yeah.
Expand what they consider to be classics and you know, do some new things too.
Modern classics. Classics Illustrated.
There we go. Christine.
Yeah. Well, actually, Marvel's already doing Stephen King stuff.
Well, that's true.
So, Marvel does a fantastic job. The Stand, the Dark Tower series. I think there might be another one that I'm missing.
Yeah.
They've done. And they're doing Neil Gaiman's American Gods. Or is that Dark Horse?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Either way, phenomenal work. So
I remember. Yeah, now we mentioned, I remember back in the 70s, I think it was Byron Price and Heavy Metal were doing some, because I have an adaptation of Alfred Bester's The Star's My Destination by Howard Chaykin.
Oh,
it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Gully Foyle, and Terra is my nation. Deep space, my resting place. The stars, my destination.
Nice.
From the same guy who wrote the Green Lantern.
Well, Dark Horse is doing the Norse mythology as well. That's adapted from Neil Gaiman's book, as well, from the same name. Yeah.
So, adapted by Neil Gaiman.
Because he can do both.
That's right. It's called double dipping.
Because he can write novels and then he can write novels. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Words.
Just comic. Look at the pretty.
Mm-hmm.
The leather bound pretty. It's so wonderful.
Don't blame you. And now Ryan Permisson has another question. What creative team should take on The Question or Dr. Fate next?
Ooh, I think you're gonna hurt me when I say mine. So you go first.
Ooh, I know who I want to do either one. I would love to write either one. And I would
I don't think you're one of Ryan's options.
I don't think I am. Even worse, I don't think I'm one of DC's.
Jim Lee and Scott Snyder.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Actually, I was gonna say Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo.
That's a great choice.
They're a great duo, man. Their metal stuff gets a little weird, but their Batman and New 52 was the best thing that came out of that, I think.
Yeah, I agree. My choice of being practical, I love your choice, Brian. For Dr. Fate, I would have Neil Gaiman.
Ooh.
And who could do the art that would be willing to these days? Maybe, I don't know. I want to say Jill Thompson inked by P. Craig Russell.
I was gonna say P. Craig Russell would be great because him and Gaiman are doing Norse mythology together right now.
Yeah. Or my second choice for art might be Jerry Ordway. Because he can do no wrong in my eyes. The best Dr. Fate I've ever read was in first issue special number 8 by Martin Pascoe and Walt Simonson. And it is beautiful, and it was the first one that introduced the Ankh and everything to Dr. Fate's mythology and all. But yeah, those are both great characters. I love Dr. Fate because there's one thing that a lot of people ignore, and that's the fact that Nabu aged Kent Nelson from a kid to an adult just to suit his purposes. And so I would write him as if there's a lot of life experiences that he's really kind of sideswiped here and would make
kind of like Tom Hanks from Big.
Yeah. And the question, I think the closer you get to the Steve Ditko version, the better. Although Tom Veitch did a wonderful 6-issue series, about 10, 15 years ago, where when Vic Sage was, and I'm classic, I mean, Renee Montoya is great as the Question, but I love Vic Sage. And when he was Sage, of course, he talked like everyone else. But when he was the Question, he only spoke in questions.
When did Denny O'Neil write the Question?
That was in the 80s.
Was that in the 80s?
3 years of that, and that is a high watermark for that character.
I remember reading a lot of that when I was a kid. That's actually how I got introduced to the Question. Was Denny O'Neil's stuff, and I love it.
Yeah, and you can still find the original Charlton material by Steve Ditko and scripted by Steve Skates, which was kind of interesting because Ditko was very conservative. He was very much into the Ayn Rand philosophy. And, it's like, you're either good or you're bad. There's no gray area in between. And Steve Skates was a hardcore liberal. And there was a classic story about where Steve Ditko plotted his own stories, but it was lifted somebody else to dialogue. And Ditko had the Question basically drop this guy into the sewer and float down the river. And Skates wrote something about, added a caption about, well, the police can pick him up when he comes out the storm drain sort of thing. And he'll be okay. And Ditko allegedly called Skates up and said, that's not my intent. He was supposed to die because he's bad. It's like, okay. So that's my team. How about Clyde or Eric? Do you have an opinion?
I had an opinion. I already said it.
Okay, you want another one?
Brian's like, do you want to correct one?
Yeah.
No,
have a chance to correct yourself.
Yeah, Snyder and Lee.
Yeah, Snyder is a good choice. I'm kind of on the Lemire kick, and I could see a Dr. Fate with Sorrentino doing the art. That could be, with this sort of let's push the boundaries approach. That could be really cool. I don't know if they would do and I thought the same thing about having the aged child as his heart at the core of the character explored more too. So I don't know if they would do that or not, but I would like to see what they might do with it. Now the Question, I'll tell you, I don't know about the artist for the Question because several people could do all right with that. Let Mark Russell have a shot at the Question.
Yes.
I think because he is so not Ayn Rand, I think it would be.
Yeah, that's true.
You talk about
the other end from Ayn Rand.
He's the other end, but he's also. I think you could make it entertaining. show us something about anytime I've seen him do somebody else's character to take over an established character, he always brings his own stuff, and you feel richer for having experienced that.
Yeah.
So I don't know I don't know about the artist, but Mark Russell writing the question, I think that'd be good.
I think for the question specifically, Mike Mignola and Duncan Fegredo would be a phenomenal team for the question.
Yeah. Yeah, I would probably read a Tom King limited series on the question. I think that would be good because King is an interesting writer, and if nothing else, he wins on points for his technical writing skill. That even when the story's not so amazing, the way he writes it usually at least keeps you turning the pages. I'm thinking of the Rebirth Batman #2, where you're turning the pages. This is interesting. Wait a minute. How the hell does he get up on top of a jet airplane and it takes 20 pages to cross Gotham? It's like, wait a minute here. Science is not on your side, Mr. King. And when I'm correcting you on science, things have gone badly off the rails. No, good answers, guys. Very good answers. DC, we're here to solve your problems. And Ryan Permisson asks, now I love this question here.
I got three now.
We got to make this multiple choice. What fictional character should be in the public domain that's not as of yet? Eric, what do you say?
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think any of these are, at least they weren't last time I looked. Flash Gordon.
You're right.
Yeah.
Buck Rogers.
You're right.
Tarzan.
Well, they're a cab with an asterisk. I'll say it with an asterisk.
Tarzan.
Yeah.
I thought Tarzan was now.
Unless he's recently, I don't think he was.
I thought it recently happened. Maybe it's something, a caveat or something.
It might be because it was a couple years ago. I was thinking about Tarzan. It's like, oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
Tarzan and zombies was what I was thinking.
I read a book on the making of John Carter of Mars, the movie, which I love that movie. I think
it got poor advertising.
Yeah, terrible.
Disney didn't know how to promote it or tell people what it was about, so they just didn't know.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I was reading up on, I think it's also on the Wikipedia page for Edgar Rice Burroughs, but due to a clerical error back in the day when you had to renew your copyrights, rather than have it, you make it and it lasts forever, there were more rules in place. The Burroughs, the Edgar Rice Burroughs Incorporated did not renew the copyrights on a number of things, early works of Edgar Rice Burroughs. So at one point, the first 5 books of Tarzan were in the public domain. The first 3 books of John Carter were as well. And I think some or all of the Venus, the Carson Napier series were in public domain. But having said that, they have the trademarks. So that makes it difficult. And you mentioned Buck Rogers. I've been following a case through Variety and other magazines that there's somebody who's been wanting to make a Buck Rogers movie. Now, Buck Rogers is not in the public domain because if you think of the 1931 Dick Calkins newspaper strip. However, the Amazing Stories version, Armageddon 2417 AD, that was serialized in Amazing Stories back around 1926-27, that is in the public domain.
Tarzan is kind of a similar thing. It's got outside the United States, it's open, but in the United States, some of them are. Everything up through Tarzan and the Ant-Man. Let's see. In the U.S., if the renewals are all on time, copyrights on work published prior to 78 can last 95 years. So that's why part of them are still owned by the company and I guess the family. But so yes and no. Just depends on which stories you're wanting to do.
Just like Sherlock Holmes, that because of the passage of time and every January another year, and I think they're up to 1926 now or so, something like that, 27. I can look that up while you guys are answering. But the the copyright laws, up to, that anything like say 1926 or so earlier are now in the public domain. So that like, because of the Holmes lawsuit from a few years ago, where the Copyright Office said, okay, all but 6 stories are, public domain. Well, now it's something like 4 or 5 stories simply because of the passage of time. Copyrights are difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, no, Eric, those are excellent ideas.
Yeah.
I like those.
Good pulpy characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the one that I am hoping, it's not up for it yet, but it will be soon in the next few years, and I'm really hoping that it actually makes it, but it
Steamboat Willie
won't, is The Shadow.
The Shadow.
Yeah.
I don't anticipate it actually making it. Or I mean, maybe Brian, you know more about copyright laws than I do. Is there a version of The Shadow that will be going into public domain in the next 5-6 years or so?
The only one that I could think of is, if you know the origin of the Shadow, the original version that was used in the Blue Coal thing, because Will Murray just released a really good book on the history of the Shadow, and that Shadow does not, the station that ran those with the Shadow is like the host of the of the dramatization.
Yeah. That was the who knows what evil.
Yeah. He was hooded.
That's right.
He actually wore a hood. He looked more like the Green Llama than anything. But which was intended to be a Shadow ripoff too. But anyway, because he was originally the Gray Llama. I know too much about stuff that doesn't matter. But anyway, that version could become public domain in the next few years, but the one by Street and Smith, the classic Lamont Cranston Candler version, I think that's going to be like Steamboat Willie. Not much chance of that going public domain, but it doesn't mean, for the purposes of this question, we can't hope that it does.
Well, but in the Blue Coal radio show, it was Lamont Cranston. It wasn't the Kent Allard Lamont Cranston.
That was much later.
Yeah. So essentially, the version that we get in Alec Baldwin's movie is the Blue Coal version of the Shadow. Well, as far as the story, not so much the look. The look was very much, the pulp magazine.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, Brian, that was one. Do you have a couple more?
Not right now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Clyde, how about you?
2 pipe dreams and one that might have a chance. The Justice Incorporated and the Avenger.
Ooh,
I always thought that they had 2 different versions of him. I always thought he had a lot more potential than he was ever explored and allowed to blossom into. So I would love to see the flurry of people that would try it, to try to do a version of him. Either the one with the face that can change. He had a malleable face, that kind of a dead face that he could change into looking like different people, or the one without that power. Because they changed him about midway through. But I always liked him. I always, he's not the Shadow. He's not Doc Samson or Doc Savage, but he is unique, and he kind of had, when he could do the face thing, he kind of had powers a little bit, so a precursor to superheroes. So, and Justice Incorporated, I just always thought that was a great name.
That's a cool name
for an organization. So I would love to see that expanded on with the freedom that people would have with being in public domain.
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Clyde.
No, go ahead.
I just interrupted you. Zorro.
Yeah.
Yes.
Zorro.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
I would have a ton of fun doing a version of Zorro.
Yeah.
Zorro would be fantastic. Yeah, and I'm still looking for what it is and what that year is, and I think it's I'd have to sit down and look at this, but at least 1925. Extension of copyright, government works. Anything that's done by the government is pretty much not. Oh, public domain day. This is it. Let's see. And let's try public domain day.
I think you're right. I think it's 1925.
Yeah, that sounds right. And yeah, and every January there's like celebrations and new stuff is brought into the public domain. We can look that up. That'd be something to talk about later. My things that I think should be in the public domain. The first year of Superman.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the guy that can, blow out a sun with his super breath. I'm not talking about Jimmy Olsen, Perry White, or the Daily Planet, because that came a couple of years later. I'm talking about, the guy that could run 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I would
leap an eighth of a mile.
Leap an eighth of a mile, and nothing less than a bursting shell could penetrate his skin.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see that become public domain. I agree with Brian. I would love to see the Shadow go public domain as my third. Yeah, I like the idea of Zorro too, but yeah. Actually, I would like, this is something I brought up during a panel I was on at the Windy City Pulp and Paper show a couple weeks ago. I want Doc Savage to go into public domain only because I want to write a Pat Savage novel.
Yeah.
Pat Savage was Doc's cousin, kind of like Supergirl, Superman. And it was, I think it's in the books that she was raised very much like Doc, except she had like normal emotions and didn't have all the, bad wiring that Doc did in his early days. But, here's an independent woman who, in a time where women haven't had the right to vote all that long, I'd put her in like the 30s.
Yeah.
And explore the world then through Pat's eyes. I would love to write a Pat Savage novel, but otherwise, maybe some of the earliest, probably the earliest comic characters like Superman, Spirit would be fun.
Oh yes, the Spirit.
Black Hawk, the original Black Hawk. And who else was I thinking? Oh, I'd love to write the original Human Torch or Submariner.
Ooh, the android Human Torch. Yes, that would be really cool.
That would be a lot of fun. But the problem is, of course, a lot of these, like Doc Savage is still owned by Street and Smith Publishing. And of course, the Mouse owns any of the Marvel characters. Comcast owns the Warner stuff, Warner DC stuff. They still have the trademarks on them.
Yeah.
And so that's the one thing that if you did a version of these characters, you couldn't, at least on the cover, you wouldn't be able to have their names. But I would sincerely love to do a first year Superman book and call him nothing but Clark,
Yeah.
I thought another one that would be kind of cool is, and it may be public domain, I don't know, Dr. Sin, alias the Scarecrow.
Ooh,
I would love to write a story.
I think
like
it
that.
is.
It may be.
I think it is. You just can't use the version that Disney used.
Right.
In the 60s with Patrick McGowan.
Right. But the other two, the pipe dream ones that I was going to say, Captain Action, the DC version that had the pantheons of gods, god powers. I would love to write a story with that. And it's just a pipe dream because at that time, Carl Arts, I think, still owns the Captain Action trademark of just like the action figure, not any of that Jim Shooter stuff. So it's already a nightmare as far as rights. So you probably could never get that. But that's one. And then the other one that is close to being, I think, time-wise, if the trademark didn't fall into play, or if DC wasn't such a giant, is put Batman out there.
Yep.
Not because I want to see more Batman stuff.
Oh, God, no.
But if everybody in the world could publish it, DC might actually have to find somebody else in their ginormous pantheon to allow to blossom out and not just do Batman all the time.
Yeah,
Just saying.
You mean to tell me that you're not excited about the next 10 years of reboots from Batman? Come on now, because this Batman fan is absolutely sick and tired of them. I really wish we would find another character.
I must admit, yes, I'm not. No.
Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of
unless they
Batman
make Dick
too.
Grayson into Batman. That might be kind of fun to do for a while or something. But I just
maybe, but like at that point, I'd just rather have a Nightwing movie.
There you go. Yeah, he's his own guy. Yeah,
like explore Bloodhaven. Do that.
Yeah.
Like that. That's what I would love to see. And my goodness, please, someone stop them from redoing the Jason Todd story over and over and over and over again. Like, good grief, people! We know he's died and he's come back.
Okay,
please stop.
Let's have a phone-in thing. Okay. People can vote.
What's this $400 on your phone bill, Brian? Don't ask me that. Please don't ask us for a good cause. So no, that's a great idea. In fact, I'm going to reveal something. This is going to be a special show. I'm going to reveal the one thing that I've said for 40 years could destroy the comic book industry as we know it. Here we go. Fire all the people that are currently doing the books. That's the first part.
Well, that probably would help the comic book industry.
That would probably help.
Why does that sound like kill all the lawyers?
It would be like, get rid of all the people doing comics that don't care about comics.
Yeah,
and bring in people that care about comics.
Exactly.
There you go.
And have everyone say, okay, DC, for instance, say, okay, submit your finished stories, or Marvel, submit your finished stories. They have to be done in one, and you get no payment for them. But you get to brag that you have done Spider-Man, you've done Superman, you've done Batman. And you know what would happen? All the people working in comics, of course, unfortunately, would get kicked out. And there are some really great comics. But DC and Marvel could get free comic work from the fans who would do, and they'd have to hire extra editors to sift through all the volumes after volumes of sheer unadulterated garbage.
I don't know if I'd do anything for Disney for free.
Yeah, I don't think I would.
You already are, you traitor.
I wouldn't. I'm like, nope.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying, though. You turn it into fan work, and because there are some people in the fan, I would pay to see what Brian or Eric would do. I would pay to see what Clyde would write. I would practically pay to have them print my work, because imagine that going on your resume.
That would be pretty cool.
Because what's inspired it was back in the early 70s, I found out that Martin Goodman was talking to Stan Lee about, we've just generated about 10 years worth of stories. And the audience at that time was thought to change over every 2 or 3 years. That's why the Westerns went all reprint. That's why Sergeant Fury went reprint. He was saying, okay, it's new if you haven't read it before.
Yeah.
And so what they can do is they could they could perpetually reprint all the stuff they've already got. Each one has 80 years of material, much of which none of us have seen. And by the same token, if they opened it up to the fan press, and you'd have a lot of people going, okay, this is utter garbage, take it back. This is garbage, take it back. No self-addressed stamped envelope, straight into the shredder it goes. If the big two took that attitude,
Joe would be all over Wonder Woman. I knew that.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe is probably writing that script right now, saying, "Good idea."
He started now. Yeah. He's like,
Why do I picture
it up? And we love you, Joe.
Why do I picture you being one of the editors they would hire, Brian, so that you can go?
Yeah.
What kind of thing? Yeah. No sace. What? Oh, what horrible penmanship! Or
get Eric. No sound effects. Where's the skeletons on these people?
See, for me, I wish that DC and Marvel would give their characters, at least their main characters, like DC with the Trinity, and I wish they would give their characters solid, definite endings.
Yeah.
Like do a Old Man Logan type story where it's actually the end.
Yeah.
It's actually the end. There, however you want to do the crisis event stuff, bring it all down to one world and then end it all. And give it a good ending. You could milk that for 5 years. In 5 years, DC's done, and announce it ahead of time, man. If you want to follow the ending of DC or these DC characters, and then as a publisher, I don't know, create new stuff for once in your lives. You know what I mean? Like, good grief. And that's what I would do if I were in charge of DC and Marvel. That's what I would do, and everyone would hate
promote
me.
the characters you don't use that are just sitting on the shelves.
Yeah.
Or even
start with
them
them.
go into public domain.
Yeah.
Defend Metamorpho, that's fine. Big deal. Let it go. Or defend, or are we going to try to defend any sort of possible copyright on, say, The Question or Son of Vulcan? They're not. Or Skull the Slayer from Marvel. I would love to write Skull the Slayer. That'd be great. We've just destroyed the comic industry before your very ears. Hope you enjoyed it.
For our next trip.
I'm sorry. Yes. As long as we're writing them, it's fine. No,
Right.
Are horror and scary comics greater in volume around this time of year? Does it work like horror publishing in that respect?
You get a lot of anthology.
Yeah. You get a lot of collections happening. Dracula, Marvel is redistributing Dracula for the Halloween season.
And just coincidentally, they've got also
you're going to say
I was. It's the holidays. It's the holidays to me. All right.
That's right.
They did Marvel Zombies, so this year it's Marvel Vampires, right?
There we go.
Yeah.
So they do those sorts of,
which I think is a lot better. No offense, Eric.
Yeah, and the
Just
thing
not
is,
a zombie fan, but I like your zombies.
Better than what? better than my book?
No. Better than better than Marvel Zombies is what I'm actually saying.
There you go.
Marvel Zombies, The Walking Dead. I'm tired of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, Zombie World of Oz is not that. And
Seriously.
If you want to find out what I mean, go buy it because it's from a guy who doesn't like zombie stories. I love that story.
From another guy who doesn't really like zombie stories, but wanted to write something he liked with zombies.
And an editor who is zombied out.
Yeah.
So
issue 3 has one zombie. One.
Yeah, that was the zombie you meant to put in issue 1 to your editor put his foot down, right? He just wanted
to issue 4. I've already in the first 4 pages. I've got like 20 zombies, but
yeah, you do.
Yes, you do. Gentlemen, on the zombie note,
yes,
I must bid you an adieu.
Clyde,
it's time.
Clyde, tell everyone real quick where they can follow your adventures, and then we'll let you go.
Oddly enough, Pulp Reality #1 and Pulp Reality #2 at www.stormgatepress.com have my works, my short stories of B-Man as part of the new pulp genre, and Pulp Reality #3 will soon be coming out from Stormgate Press. You can go to Stormgate Press's website, www.stormgatepress.com, and order those, or you can go to Amazon and you'll find both of those volumes. On the website, though, you'll find a whole bunch of other things like the Captain Hawkins series and other works by myself, Brian Morris. So check out the website. Also, you can follow me on Facebook on Twitter at CJ Hall 1984, or on Facebook at Clyde Hall, or at Radiate Positive Vibes with Clyde Hall, with author Clyde Hall. And every day we try to come up with some good news to share with people, to bring a smile or a chuckle, or make you look at the news, at least one thing in the day that gives you a positive note. So that's where you can find me. And I'm here on Thursdays on Comic Book Spectrum.
And we couldn't be happier about that. Clyde, thank you so much for being here tonight. We know you got to go. So thank you for everything, sir. And we will see you next week.
All right.
Bye,
take care. Bye-bye.
Take
Have
care,
fun.
Clyde. Yeah, good luck.
Yes.
And we'll be checking the police dockets tomorrow to see if Clyde's been apprehended. Clyde's ready for a fight. Anyway, but that's something else.
Well, speaking of zombies, has anyone watched the What If? Is anyone watching the What If series on Disney Plus?
I haven't watched any of it yet. I've been too busy.
Other than, let's see, so this week was like Thor if he was an only child.
I heard
he didn't have Loki as his evil brother so he was just a party dude.
No.
So that was good. The week before, where Killmonger saved Tony Stark in the desert, was kind of iffy. It wasn't my favorite one, but every single one other than that one have been great. And the zombie one, I think the week before that was really cool.
Nice. No, I did want to watch the zombie episode just because I saw one still. Of course, we've all seen the Captain America still because that was their promo one. But the not Black Widow, Scarlet Witch looks terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, that looks great. I'll watch this.
I'll tell you, so these were the last things that Chadwick Boseman did before he died.
Yeah.
And a lot of the scenes, he I think he's in 4 episodes. A lot of them just kind of hit you because some of his dialogue just matches him being dead.
Oh God.
Speaks to death isn't always the end and stuff like that.
Oh
my God,
man.
it almost makes you cry. Yeah.
I mean, the dude knew he was dying when he did that. So nobody else did. Yeah. That's the crazy part, man. Just to think that he did all that stuff. He went to 2 hospitals to see children with cancer, knowing he was dying of cancer.
Yeah.
And just heartbreaking.
Yeah, it just reminds me of David Bowie, his last 2 videos, and you're watching it, and I remember thinking, this feels like a goodbye.
Yeah.
And then of course after the second video comes out, his Black Star album, then all of a sudden, we find out that Bowie has passed away. So it's because it takes on a special poignance.
Yeah. If no one's watching What If, I'd recommend it to anyone. It's been good. It's been good so far.
Good. Yeah. Oh, I definitely plan on it because I've watched all the other Marvel shows and they've all been phenomenal. So my least favorite was Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I still really liked, but in comparison to WandaVision and Loki was the best in my opinion. It was surprising. I loved WandaVision too.
I love WandaVision, but I loved Loki too. And Falcon and Winter Soldier, I mean, I liked it, but there was always about 10 minutes in each episode of something I didn't like.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But the Hawkeye looks great.
Oh, I love
Hawkeye.
I love that it's a Christmas show.
I was like, it's like Die Hard.
Cool.
Is what I was thinking.
I know. It's gonna be so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and going back to the Classics Illustrated, Joe D. McPhee has a good suggestion. Classics Illustrated.
That would be great.
Well, and that reminds me, DC for a year or two were putting out graphic novels of various, usually short stories. And I remember Marvel Comics did an adaptation of the Dune film, the David Lynch one, but DC did a series of science fiction things, like A Demon with a Glass Hand by Harlan Ellison, stories like that. And
I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry. I respect Harlan Ellison's writing. The man was amazing. Yes. But every time I hear his name, I just think of how much Mike Mignola hates that man. And it makes me laugh so much because he hated him.
I heard that he had a little antipathy towards him. Ellison could be a polarizing character. He is the one celebrity. I love his work. I respect his writing. But I didn't want to meet him because he could be bad towards people who don't measure up intellectually. And I wasn't feeling well at the time I saw him. In fact, I was getting around with a cane. I thought, I'm going to wind up in one of his stories, on Monday if I see him on Sunday. So I thought I would just opt to not meet him. This might be better all around.
Why don't you stop using a cane, man? If I ever started using one, I'm never
just
they're cool.
Lean into it.
House
MD, come on, man.
That's right. Hey, using a cane got me out of being bullied in high school.
Oh, that's nice.
Because I used it on a bully.
I was gonna say, Oh gosh, Yeah, I have a story about that. I probably can't tell it though for legal reasons, so never mind.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't tell my story either. Let's just say that somebody tried to pick on me when I did need a cane when I was 16 because of an operation on my foot, and he thought it'd be funny to kick the cane out from under me.
Oh,
well, what he didn't realize is that the soft tissue just at the base of the kneecap. Let's just say it met my cane twice. So one knee and then the other.
You know, this reminds me of, did you guys ever watch the remake of Miracle on 34th Street?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When Santa Claus beats the guy with the cane in the outside. That's all I'm thinking of right now. Is you dressed just the way you are right now, beating some kid with a cane. That's what I'm picturing.
I'm thinking, so it's 16. What year would that have been, Brian?
Oh, at
72.
least. Oh, okay. I was going to say around
72.
Yeah.
16.
So I'm thinking correctly. I'm thinking you with a cane, but I'm picturing a Huggy Bear from Starsky and Hutch. You as Huggy Bear.
I would so embrace that. I would lean into that look. Yes. I really would. I'd be the guy wearing it. But no, the guy thought it'd be funny to kick the cane, so I just brought it back down on one knee. While he's hopping on one knee or one leg, I hit the good leg too.
All right.
In front of his friends.
Yeah.
And I then asked, would anyone else? And it's the same reasoning behind hitting the biggest guy in prison when you get in there. If you show that you have no more to give,
Yeah.
So it saved. It gave me about 2.5 years of grace in high school, so I was very happy about that. So anyway, let's see. And Sarah's left us because her phone is glitched. Sarah, we love you. And from this was Small Press Publisher. Why was Montoya hand selected by him? That was the one thing I never caught in the changing of the mantle. Because I think it was an SJW thing. That's how it read to me more at the time. So let's see. Oh, and Anthony Bavo's got some really good selections for Sarah about The Tick, Faust, Witchblade, Preacher, Arkham Asylum, The Long Halloween, Dark Knight Returns. Well, and
hey. Yeah.
That's a
Long
good
Halloween and Dark Knight Returns, I think, are
perfect.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Tick, though, I would highlight that out of that list.
Yeah.
That is some just straight up comic book fun. The Tick, and if you can get your hands on the original animated series from the 90s, it's just gold.
Or the original live action series with Patrick Warburton.
Yeah,
that was perfection.
I came across the strangest comic in my collection when I was logging everything down. And I knew I bought it, but I don't even remember anything about it. And Morris will remember it. Rodman, you might. The Flaming Carrot.
Yes.
Yes.
I got
like the number one issue. I'm like, why did I buy this? It's so weird.
That's what the Mystery Men movie was spun out of.
Yeah.
And I don't have them all anymore. But I do have the issue with Herbie, the Fat Fury, in it.
Oh.
I love Herbie. But no, for those of you who don't know, the Flaming Carrot was a guy. He wore this big face helmet, or almost like a face mask, but it flamed off the top where there should have been the green stuff. And it was a comic guy that read like 5,000 comics in one sitting, and it destroyed his brain. So all he could be was a superhero from that point on.
So they made a comic about that.
Well, they made a comic about it, by Bob Burton.
You should read this. It could happen to you too.
Right. And I suspect it has in my case. But anyway,
the Tick reminds me of that because that's about the same era when the comic was coming out and all that.
Yeah, that was good stuff. Joe D. McPhee from the Desk of Small Press Publisher says Phantom, Green Hornet, good choice, and Captain Harlock would be my three. I wish was in public domain, especially Green Hornet. Want to have a clean tie back to his Lone Ranger heritage. Yes. Yeah, if you ever get a chance, Joe, you might have them. But Now Comics did a sensational run, originally with Ron Fortier, and then with Chuck Dixon, where they did embrace the Lone Ranger, although they couldn't say it, and created kind of like a legacy version of the Green Hornet that was really, really good. Anthony Bavo would do Morbius. That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
And we knew it. Under my rules, I would break Wonder Woman. I bet you would. is Doctor
What
Who?
did he actually mean that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine our surprise. This is our surprise look, Joe. Okay, there we go. Anyway, and Anthony Below, is Doctor Who part of the MCU? No, he is not. He is owned by the BBC. So, and didn't Marvel do that with the end? Where did that put them? Yeah, they'll change it in about 20 more years. I think they've done final versions of Wolverine, the Fantastic Four. I do have that one.
Yeah.
And the Hulk, I think.
But like actually,
and the Punisher,
because like they've done that, but then they're like, oh well, let's tell more story. No, like end it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
End it and don't go back.
Exactly.
Well,
Good choice.
Death of Dr. Strange.
I don't
There we
believe it.
go.
And you can find out the entire story in 12 easy issues or published over the next 2 months. There's a checklist in the back. I was like,
Uh,
I
Can
liked
you
it, but I don't know if I like it that much.
that's a lot.
Event fatigue strikes again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
The art looks really cool.
That's true. That is nice. That is nice.
Yeah,
So-
here's a weird thing about Doctor Strange. Okay,
Yeah.
so Marvel publishing the death of Doctor Strange when right now Doctor Strange has a movie come out. He's going to be in the new Spider-Man movie coming out. At least 3 new action figures coming out from them in the next 2 months. So Marvel, MCU, and the comics never seem to get it together.
Which is why I don't believe the death of Doctor Strange.
Oh, he'll be
it's
same
not.
here.
Yeah. No,
he'll
it's
be
not.
back. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, remember, Marvel was the one that did the comic book on the life of Christ, and look what happened with them.
He came back.
He came back. I mean, come on.
It didn't even last 3 days. That has to
Well,
be a
he-
comic
and
book
this is-
record.
Yeah,
This
it was
is-
a little quicker for him.
Just kind of on the same vein. Like all the people out there that are like, Hugh Jackman needs to come back as the Wolverine. No, he doesn't, because Logan was the best ending to that character, to his version of that character that you could possibly ask for. No.
No, I
No.
believe that, but I don't know if I can picture anyone else playing him.
But you know what?
That's
I
the problem.
said,
And I,
I
want
said
him to
that
be
about
done with it because
I
he
said that-
was so devoted to that character. He knew
Oh,
that
yeah.
character launched his career. He knew it.
Yeah,
he
he
get,
did.
and he had so much respect for him. But I felt the same way after the 2 atrocities after Michael Keaton's Batman.
Right.
I was like, they're never going to get anybody else to play it. Christian Bale did a great job except for that. And
Why are you talking like that?
right. And
It hurts.
but Ben Affleck knocks it out of the park. I mean, so and I think there is someone out there that can absolutely play Wolverine. I don't know who it is off the top of my head. I would rather it just be an unknown. I didn't know who Hugh Jackman was before he played that Wolverine in X-Men.
No, no one did. No one knew who Christopher Reeve was before he played Superman.
Exactly. Find somebody, you know?
Well, and also keep in mind, Hugh Jackman was the second choice.
Yeah, Mel
Doug
Gibson
Ray
was
Scott
the first.
was of
Doug Ray
Mission-
Scott was
Doug Ray
Scott was hired.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
I thought it was
There
Mel Gibson.
Something went on. I can't
Yeah.
remember what it was. I remember
Oh.
hearing a broken arm or something like that.
He-
and then,
I think he got injured doing some scene for, I think it was Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah.
Mm.
The franchise that forced Henry Cavill to keep his mustache. But anyway, he was. They had to delay the scene, so he was still contractually bound to Mission Impossible, and that conflicted with the filming schedule of the X-Men film, and that's when they went with Hugh Jackman. And I remember seeing the screen test on the DVD and thinking, this was number 2.
Yeah.
How
My
I
gosh.
want to see Doug Ray Scott's audition now.
Yeah.
How perfect was
I
that?
feel like he just knew somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are going to recast him because he was not coming back. I don't
No.
know.
The
But
only time I would
want to
want him
see a
to come
short
back.
guy. I want to see
Yes.
a little guy.
Yeah.
I want to see a little
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would be cool with is if he showed up in the next Deadpool movie as Wolverine.
Oh,
Just
yes.
as a cameo moment.
Mm.
That would be fun. I
He
would,
was-
or if they just went off the rails and like Deadpool brings Hugh Jackman's Wolverine back to life for a road trip, that would be a great movie too.
I would.
Or he
I'd
just
be
kidnaps
totally cool
Hugh
with it.
Jackman.
Yes,
because he thinks he looks like Wolverine.
Just refers to him as Wolverine the whole time.
No, I can see Jackman coming. I would write this movie. Jackman comes back to Deadpool 3, but he's been injured and he thinks he's Deadpool.
Well, that would be funny too.
That would be so funny. Hey, wait a minute, Jackman, that's my character. Oh yeah.
I just love the relationship that those two have. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. They're hilarious together.
They seriously are. And I don't care, Canada. We are adopting Ryan Reynolds. He is now our national treasure.
You can have Chad and us back. Okay.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, we love Chad, but just the same.
Do we though? Do we? I don't know.
I do. I've been. Yeah, we are going to have a conference about the Dastardly Dingoes coming to the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. It's called Slumming. But anyway, those three talking to each other. You know what they sound like, Eric? The three of us, or actually the four of us on this show, when we're like sniping at each other in the private comments. So,
yeah.
It's quite very entertaining.
Chad and I have an ongoing battle against each other.
I've noticed.
Mostly because I'm trying to rid the world of another serial killer, but it's just not working. So.
Yeah, well, that's okay because what is it? Jeremy has promised me alcohol, so of course I'm devoted to him now, so it's all good. Oh, and Cindy Cap says it's the Hollow Birthmica season, and I think it's funny because you're talking to the guy that released a Christmas book in March. Anyway, Anthony Bavot goes with all the dimension hopping and universe jumping. It seems like it's possible. Well, here's some trivia for you. Doctor Who magazine was originally published by the British arm of Marvel Comics, and also Marvel has reprinted some of the old stuff. The first artist on the Doctor Who, it was articles and comics. Okay, and the first artist on it was Dave Gibbons.
Oh wow!
And two of the writers on that have been Grant Morrison. And I think Neil Gaiman has done some stuff too.
Was it the same publication that was doing a Death's Head over there?
Yes.
Yeah. I actually picked up a couple of those. Occasionally you'd find them locally, not very often. Back in the 80s.
Yeah, I still love the old Death's Head. I still have the original one. They revamped them, and I didn't care for it. But the old Doctor Who's has, and Russ Leach of Only Death Can Save Us worked for on the Doctor Who stuff for the longest time.
I think he's doing some Doctor Who stuff right now.
He is. Yep.
Yeah, and
I think he was drawing some pages just this morning. Was it this morning I listened to that?
He might have been.
Or yesterday morning. No, it was this morning. Yeah.
And he's got some other cool stuff in the hopper too, but I can't talk about it. And Animalized Maniac says, Cindy Cap, are the zombies actually decayed cyborgs? But take tale that I find amusing. Very cool. And everyone's wishing Clyde a good night, as do we. And Cindy's missing Clyde already. Shows how much she thinks of us. And Cindy Cap says, right, Wolverine was supposed to be a little stocky dude. Yeah, when I worked in the comic shop when the X-Men came out, people were coming and go, well, that was totally bogus, that movie, because Wolverine was 9 inches taller than he should have been according to the Marvel handbook. And I'm like, oh god.
I didn't mind it. I really didn't mind it, but I wish he would have been shorter. But he just grew in that character with every, except the one movie. But
overlook that.
We don't talk about. Well, which one are we talking about? Because I hate two of them.
Well,
I hate X-Men Origins.
I hate X-Men Origins.
That's what I'm thinking of.
X3. I hate
3 was bad, but I did like the scene where he killed Jean.
And I love the Colossus throwing Wolverine in the very beginning.
The rest of the movie was trash.
It was awful. It was so awful.
It was horrible.
But X2 is really where he came into the character.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. And Anthony Bouveau has left us for our good friend Morgan Comnick, who's on right now, and says they are great guys, wonderful band, very, very knowledgeable. Brian, wonderful and fantastic as always. Obviously, talking about the other Brian, and and great listening to all you guys. And thank you, Anthony, for your compliments. Hope you have a great night too. And Cindy Cap's going to catch up with them later. And with that, we are done with the comments.
All right.
So we have caught up. So hope everyone has found some new comics to pick up. I know Sarah has. We have done her no favors tonight.
No.
We love you,
trying
Sarah.
to think of anything else we could recommend to her.
Just save it. She needs to save some money. We'll give it more information next time.
Yeah.
Has anyone gone over to Webtoon and read the new Batman stuff over there?
No.
No, not yet. I didn't know DC had started doing that.
Batman Wayne Family Adventures. 5 episodes so far.
Cool. Anyway, what I saw was pretty interesting. It was in a couple of the ads in the like in my Supergirl book. If I can reach over here without dislocating my arm. Batman from Mac's original Batman: The Audio Adventures.
Ooh.
With Jeffrey Wright as Batman.
Yes, I saw that.
Also,
I'm excited.
Also with John Leguizamo and Rosario Dawson.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I think it was another ad for something similar.
Yeah, you lost me at Rosario Dawson. I just kind of drifted off.
Oh,
not a fan or too much of a fan.
Well, I'm a fan.
Oh, okay.
I am too.
Oh, yeah, especially Sin City.
Oh yeah,
it's so good in Sin City.
Yeah, what a great actress.
Or Clerks 2, of course.
Clerks 2, yeah.
The donkey. And on that note, good night, everybody. No.
Yeah, and I'm trying to see. The audio adventures are also being adapted into graphic novels.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, that's what I was thinking. But yeah, I definitely pay to read that. Now, from Death Small Press Publisher, true story in the theater. I gave a standing ovation when Jean kills Scott in X3, and explain why later. I don't think you need to. It makes perfect sense.
He wasn't a great Scott.
He wasn't. But at the same time, I do hate that he literally died off screen. Yeah. That was one of the most disappointing parts of that movie. I was like, really? All we get is floating sunglasses? This is stupid.
Well, I don't know. We also had Rubberface McKellum and Charles.
That's true.
And then there was all the golden line of the movie. I'm the Juggernaut, Mick. Yeah. Gosh, I hate that movie so much. It's just so terrible.
Yeah. That's
we finally get Angel, and he's just horrible.
Yeah, and then we do it again, and he's still horrible.
Yeah.
He was terrible in Apocalypse too. Makes me mad.
Apocalypse was. I thought it was bad.
It was bad, and I didn't even watch. The Dark Phoenix movie because it was written by the same person who wrote X3, and I'm like, you got the worst X-Men movie, and then the studio was like, I know, I have a great idea. Let's hire him to write the same script. She's wearing the same clothes. It is a terrible movie. It's actually worse than X3.
What's even worse about it, the aliens are not Shi'ar.
I know!
Yes.
They're Skrulls, basically. They're shapeshifters.
It's so dumb.
This makes no sense.
No.
Yeah.
And what's Jessica Chastain? Didn't even know her character's name.
She forgot she was in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah. The same thing that Gwyneth Paltrow's got, whatever she's, her memory virus she's got.
Well, in her defense, there were multiple movies that she had to think through. Whereas Jessica Chastain was just like, oh yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I think she's blocking it out.
I don't blame her.
I think we got to cut Gwyneth Paltrow some slack. She is in charge of Goop. I think that explains everything. And wait, I'm the Juggernaut. And was fan service to 5-Star Media from YouTube for the X-Men Abridged series. Could be. I have to admit that I didn't catch up with all of the X-Men films, so I am blissfully ignorant.
I liked First Class.
First Class was pretty good. I thought
that was good. I liked Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past. See, I'm going to share with you for those viewers who are still with us. I'm going to share the almost perfect timeline of the X-Men movies. You only have to omit a few of them. You start with X-Men, X2, and unfortunately X3. And then you do the Wolverine, which is the sequel to X3. Then the Wolverine leads into Days of Future Past. Then you go into Logan. that's the X-Men timeline. You ignore the rest, and it actually makes sense. And it's all a Wolverine arc.
There you go.
Just like in the comic books.
Exactly.
Because Marvel knows what side of the bread it's buttered
They're going to
on.
milk it no matter what media it is.
That's true.
He's such a good character.
And such a great actor doing it, too. So, so I think, folks, we are... Wait a second. Cindy Cap says, First Class was good. I enjoyed Days of Future Past 2. The first X-Men was good. I was less of a fan of 2 and 3. I haven't caught the rest. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I
would watch Logan. If you don't watch anything else, Logan is the best X-Men movie I've ever watched.
I cried.
I did too.
Yeah.
I cried twice.
Yeah. I got misty on that one, too. So,
and the Wolverine is not horrible.
No, actually, I enjoyed the Wolverine. It
I
was a
did
nice
too.
surprise.
Silver Samurai could have been, I almost said Surfer, but Silver Samurai could have been better. Well, definitely Silver Surfer could have been better.
Yeah,
that's another movie that could have been fixed. Anyway.
Actually, he was the best part of that whole movie. Silver Surfer.
Surfer,
I don't know. I liked their version of Galactus.
You liked the large monster cloud.
Yes, I did. It made a lot of sense to me.
You were never disappointed by Lost, were you?
I watched like 10 minutes. I watched 10 minutes of Lost, and I'm like, this is no better than the second season of Alias. I'm out of here. So I checked out. I checked out earlier with nary a regret. So, and I still have no regret having missed all that crap. But anyway, folks, thank you all for your comments. Thank you for sticking with us, and thank you for Clyde Hall, who had to wrestle with duct work. But I think, guys, it's time
to get his pipes clean. So
that's right. We all need our pipes clean, don't we, boys? Anyway. Oh, that was humor.
Joe.
What's wrong with you, PKM?
Oh,
this is only a 2-hour show. That was not a good concept for Galactus. I'm not reading. And Lost was cool for a while, then it croaked. Yeah.
When they decided they had to come up with an ending, that's when it got bad.
Yeah, right, because they had no clue.
They didn't know what to do. Then they go, well, let's do this. Then the plane did go down.
It's like, this whole thing was just purgatory. Maybe we don't really know. Let's go to the next series. All right.
That was Alias season 1. So anyway, Well, Joe, you're not convinced. You're not convinced. You sure? Okay, but anyway, no. I found the planet-eating cloud more viable than Hi, I'm this like the original appearance of Galactus. Hi, I'm this giant alien that everyone fears. I wear short pants and there's a big G on my chest.
Well, you can't win them all.
Yeah. So why even try, right? So anyway, I thought the cloud was as for the general public was as good as it was going to get, and it could have ended happily 2 seasons earlier, maybe 3, and maybe if it just didn't go on the air at all and saved our Sunday nights for worthwhile ventures like writing and stuff. But anyway, we are going to end the conversation on that. And again, thank you, Clyde Hall. Hope everything turns out well. And Eric and Brian, as always, thank you guys for being here. You are always fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We have fun every week.
Sure. We do have fun.
Even when I'm watching when I've got COVID.
And you still joined in too. That was the best part of it.
There's not much to do when you're stuck in your office.
Right.
With no one to come near you for another 10 days. Yes, I get it. And Cindy Kemp says, thanks for hosting the adventure. I'm missing you already. We miss you too, Cindy. But we'll see you tomorrow on Never Mind the Furthermore, I am sure. Hopefully, go to ckoepp.com for a great newsletter. It should be out in 2 days. So anyway, we are going to sign off here. So we're going to start with Eric, then Brian, then myself. And Eric, tell everybody how people can keep up with your exploits.
Obviously, you follow me on Twitter, ES_Hawkins. Facebook, Eric Scott Hawkins, Eric Hawkins. I'm for World of Oz, Stone Door Puppets, Stormboard Stone Door Studios. But go out. Not only support your local comic shop, but go out to Indiegogo, go out to Kickstarter, and support some independent creators. There's so much stuff out there you could find you'll like. So much stuff.
Seriously. That's a great message to end on. Thank you so much, Eric. All right. And of course, speaking of independent comic creators, why, Brian Rodman, what are you showing us?
I'm showing you the plethora of books that you can get from BrianRodman.com. I am the author and illustrator of the horror fantasy comic book series, Memoirs of an Angel. It's like Lord of the Rings meets The Exorcist. I am also the writer and illustrator of the new post-apocalyptic action comedy, The Nebulizer. It's about a chronic asthmatic and his feisty AI-controlled nebulizer suit as they fight through a post-apocalyptic world filled with allergen mutants, as one does. This will be available on BrianRodman.com in October. And October 1st at noon, we will be launching issue 8 of Memoirs of an Angel. And this is the beginning of the end of volume 2. So issues 8, 9, and 10 are going to be huge. They're going to be extended issues, at least 32 pages of story each. The last one's gonna be more, and it's gonna be intense. It's gonna be crazy. I am pouring all of my artistic craziness into issue 8 and beyond. So you definitely want to jump on board. There's plenty of catch up tiers that are affordable.
And
we have
mustard.
digital.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Mayo.
We have digital and physical options. And right now, you can go to this address right here and sign up to be notified at launch. Costs you nothing just to be notified, and it helps us have a great launch on October 1st.
And how many people you already got signed up right now? You have quite a few.
75, I think.
That
right
is
now.
awesome. That is amazing.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Great.
Yeah. It's really, really cool. So we're excited. And we have a really cool surprise for this this campaign for Memoirs. We did a little something for the Nebulizer, and I think we're doing a little something with Memoirs this time. So you're going to definitely want to check it out. October 1st on Kickstarter. Here's that link. Go do it now. Otherwise, go to BrianRodman.com, and you can find all my social media stuff there and stalk me that way. So it's been a great show. Thanks for having me, Brian.
Thank you, Brian, for being here as always, my friend. And
God, Brian's everywhere.
I know. Yeah, people. If you mean me, yeah, people are probably getting sick of me. But anyway, if you're not, I recommend going to www.risingtide.pub. I can't talk either.
Yeah, it's not as easy as you thought.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. It's much easier to mock you guys when you do it. But anyway, go to risingtide.pub where it's brand new as far as its look and everything. It has been revamped by Damian Waldron. Please check out his web skills because he's amazing. You can sign up for my free monthly newsletter there. Next issue will go out October 1st. All kinds of folderol and secret links and all kinds of cool stuff. So please check that out. And we are currently in an editing and writing frenzy. You'll be seeing more of it later on. Also, want to give a thanks. I think we forgot to do this at the top of the show, but we want to thank Jeffrey Hayes and Plasma Fire Graphics for sponsoring this episode. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you. Can you imagine that guy doing a variant cover for your comic? Contact Jeffrey Hayes at plasmafiregraphics.com. Also, check out his Facebook page. He also does a number of great graphics that you can use to sell your books, as well as beautiful trailers like the one you just saw. And he's way affordable. He is indie creator affordable. And I highly endorse him. He's going to be doing one of my books coming out soon called The Terrors. So please check it out. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you, because it matters to your readers, that's for sure. And speaking of The Terrors, people at the $5 a month or more level have been reading chapters of The Terrors, although we did recently reveal the first chapter to everybody, so you get a taste of what I'm up to. But I also have a blog that I do once a week, usually. But we're getting back into it after a hiatus. But anyway, Patreon is a monthly subscription service where you can directly contribute to financially to your favorite creators. And many of the people on this list that you see before you have their own Patreons. So please check them out. But mine, if you want to get mentioned on our show, check us out at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. Also, we are a proud part of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. We have some great shows, 7 days a week, all kinds of entertainment. Right now, go to Joe Dog McKeel, because he's having Stupid O'Clock, followed by Dan Hollifield's Last Man Standing. Then tomorrow morning, I will be on at 10 a.m. with Nevermind the Furthermore, the interactive creative conversation show where you are the guest. Then at 7 p.m. we'll be Drinking with the Davies returns with Ted and Chrissy Davies. Always a good time. Then at 8 p.m. we'll be from the Historical Fencing Guild with Nicholas Anthony Tockard, teaching you how to murder people with blade and weaponry. What a way to spend a Friday night. Anyway, check out what we've got. Please support our Facebook pages as well as our YouTube channel. Speaking of which, don't forget, we still have the YouTube challenge. If I can get 1,100 subscribers by the end of Halloween night, I will do a special 12-hour Nevermind the Furthermore the following Friday. We've got guests lined up if it comes off. We've also got some giveaways we're going to do. So please come help us celebrate. Please like, share, and subscribe to the show if you haven't already. And I think that's going to do it for tonight. I think we got everybody. Like I said, I will be on tomorrow with Nevermind the Furthermore at 10 a.m. We hope you'll join us then. And we definitely hope you'll join us next week at the same time, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, for another Comic Book Spectrum. We look forward to seeing you. So as always, this is Brian K. Morris telling you to stay smart, stay safe, wash your hands, and never apologize for being awesome. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you soon. And also, don't forget, I'll be at this non-con in Middletown, Ohio, this coming Saturday and Sunday at the Haunted School there. We'll have more details tomorrow on Nevermind the Furthermore. Have a great evening, everyone. See you next week on Comic Book Spectrum.
Thank you for watching Comic Book Spectrum, a Rising Tide Broadcast Network production. Please join us next week for another look at comics, past, present, and future. If you enjoyed this, please give the show a like and be sure to subscribe and share it with your friends. To receive our free monthly newsletter, go to www.risingtide.pub and be sure to give the Rising Tide Broadcast Network page on Facebook a like in order to receive news about upcoming shows including Clever Title Pending, Stupid O'Clock, Clever as Hail, Comics Chaos and Sass, Tidbits and Scribbles, the Historical Fencing Guild, and Nevermind the Furthermore. See you next week.